What's going on, friends? It's Anton Daniels, and I gotta have a conversation with you guys about Tiege Hanley because you see how the sun is hitting me. This is no finesse, no makeup, no filters, no none of that. This is 100% Tiege Hanley. I use it in the morning as soon as I get up, right after I pray and brush my teeth, jump in the shower, and I'm hitting the streets because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So even though they're giving you 40% off your first order, 20% off for life, even though you may get a free gift, forget all that, right? Because we would do this even if it was full price because it's worth that much. I'm in the streets, I'm kicking it with people, and I see Dusties everywhere. You don't want to be them. You want to separate yourself. And the way that you separate yourself is self-care. Ladies get it for the fellas. Fellas don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. I'm about to hit the streets right now, and I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling great. I mean, I already got confidence, but to have that extra boost of confidence, knowing that you've taken care of yourself and you set yourself apart from all of the rest of the sheep that's walking around making bad decisions on a daily basis. And it's reflected in their actions. It's reflected in the products that they use. It's reflected in the people that they follow. And so if you're trying to level up, if you're trying to make sure that you look good, they're going to send you the pack. They're going to give you all of the instructions on how you're supposed to use it. Then make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. Again, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Get your free gift. Make sure you tap in with your boy Anton Daniels because Unc is never going to lead you wrong. I would never have you use a product that I don't use myself. Again, they've been rocking with me for a long time. Make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. Can you guys hear me good? What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you. I don't like this setup. This setup is funky. Let's see if we can get this a little bit different. Let's see if we can get this hooked up a little bit different. Give me a second. I got you guys. That's why I hate being on the road sometimes. Sometimes when you're on the road, it's not necessarily conducive. All right. Maybe that's a little bit better. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels. Hopefully, you guys can see me well and everything is going well in your life. We are here. We are here. All right. So, we here, y'all. I am in another city as usual, and I'm doing the Lord's work and taking care of business, but we don't miss, right? We never miss. We always got to take care of business. And we on it. We on it. We on the West Coast. So actually it's 7:52 on the West Coast and it's 10:52 on the East Coast. Portland is weird as hell, y'all. Weird as hell. And these late night flights, absolutely insane. But we here and we working and we gonna take care of business and we on top of it. I hope everybody is in the building. Um, all is well. Life is good. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. I did um I did drop a Patreon exclusive video for my people that's in the chat. So if you're a bag chaser, make sure you go over to the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. The Patreon video was absolutely dope for everybody that watched it. Hopefully, you guys got some value out of it. And then we going to continue to rock out from there. What's happening, friends? Somebody said they've been rocking with me since we had the shoes in the background. You know, I still got most of those sneakers. Never wore them before, but I still got most of those speakers. Are y'all not a part of the Tiege Hanley? Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. Make sure you get your Tiege. Ladies get it for the fellas. Fellas don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. We got that popping. I see Bag Chasers Patreon. I got to acknowledge all of the Cash Appers. Got to show love to the people that has showed love to me early in the morning. I want to give a shout out to ESDC, Mike that dude, and I want to give a shout out to Rand Wilson says longshoreman and the ILA reached deal ahead of a deadline. Yep. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. So I got y'all. What's happening? Kicking it with a chef. What's up, Molly K. Cooper, Mr. Lott? Jude is in the building. Shout out to everybody on that side. Amy Alamo says, good morning. Happy New Year. Love your new set. How do you feel about investing in whiskey or wine? Thanks. I would not invest in wine. I don't know too much about investing in whiskey. I'd have to deep dive into it. So let me do a little bit of research and maybe we'll add that into our next stock club. We got stock club coming up in less than a week. So for all of you guys, directly after the inauguration, we're going to do stock club. All right. So next week, directly after the inauguration, we got stock club. If you're not a bag chaser, if you're not a Patreon member, you need to become a bag chaser because we talk about everything with regard to your portfolio. And we use the information that's happening across the United States of America to make an informed decision on how we're going to invest. Shout out to Amy Alamo. I appreciate you, baby girl. Yeah, man, let's get to it. Let's get it, all right? Y'all ready to get started with the show? I don't know much about investing in whiskey. I wouldn't invest in wine, but I don't know much about investing in whiskey. Anyways, let's continue on with the show. Y'all ready to get started? Yeah, listen. One thing is for sure and two things is for certain. We always going to have the AD shirts on all year long. So that is now a part of the staple. We're not wearing t-shirts on the Millionaire Morning Show. I know we went with more of a casual look last year. That's not what we're doing this year. This year we moving a little bit differently with regard to the uniform. You got to wear the uniform. You got to dress for the job that you want, not the job that you had. And you have to continue to improve. So if you guys are not a part of the bag chasers and that improvement conversation, Connie says the whiskey industry is struggling right now. That's what I figured. That's why I said that I didn't know a whole lot about investing in it. I'm never going to advise you. Listen, from an investment perspective, stick to what you know. I know a lot of times people they're looking for new opportunities. Look for new opportunities as you organically grow, right? If you are familiar with an industry, you stick with it. If you start to learn more about something organically and you become more informed as a result of it, then you start to make informed decisions. Don't intentionally try to deep dive into something because you'll miss a lot of things. So I'll give you an example. I am intimately familiar with the car industry. I understand it. I know it. It is something I've always been a part of. I'm familiar with every aspect of it, from the inner workings of management and accounting and how they develop cars, research and development, marketing, how these companies work, how they've adapted to the Japanese automakers when they came here, Korean automakers, electric vehicles. I understand the margins. I understand everything about it because I love it. I've worked within it. I understand the other industries that's attached to it. And so because I understand the other industries that's attached to it, along with eventually evolving into the technology field, now I'm more familiar with semiconductor chips and how the majority of these chips that are manufactured are going into some of these devices, including the cars, and how manufacturers are now evolving into a technology company and not a manufacturing company. And what Tesla's real play is not to manufacture cars, but to be a technology powerhouse, right? And so I've naturally evolved over a period of time because of my interests and my dedication to specific industries that allowed for me to capitalize outside of the auto industry, and maybe get into the technology industry, right? But I'm not just going to by default say, you know what? Let me go research grass. It's not natural. It's not natural because if you don't understand it, if you don't love it, and the reason I say love it is because when you love something, you start to dedicate yourself to it. I know people that understand gaming inside and out because they love it. They love gaming. They know the difference between the companies and their offerings on the Xbox side as far as Microsoft versus Sony. But did you really know that Sony was a camera company? That Sony is also an entertainment company, right? But if you start to deep dive into it, if you say, you know what? Well, the reason why GameStop is dying because nobody actually holds any physical products. And the majority of the people usually just buy it on the game and then at midnight it installs And well, you'll start to understand exactly how technology companies work, right? Because it's not about gaming anymore. You're not investing in PS5s. You're not investing in Xbox. You're investing in the gaming and the technology and the infrastructure. And if you start to make a difference, or you start to research the difference between the two competitors, or computer PC gaming, then you'll understand, okay, wait a minute. This is the transition. This is why Azure or Amazon Web Services are popping, because they are the anchor. And then you'll start to deep dive into Microsoft's strategy when it comes to AI and software engineering and development, and you'll start to deep dive into the LinkedIn. It'll just naturally take you into spaces that you didn't know that you were supposed to be in. Because why? Because you're organically moving in a certain direction that allows for you to be more, or learn more insight in that industry. And so when you're making an investment, of course we have pillars, and I'm not going to talk about that because that's Patreon level content. But of course, we have the pillars that we look for when we're looking to invest in a company. But you should naturally be involved or organically researching and looking to understand how these companies work, which then would lend itself to making a more informed investment when it comes to, you know, these companies and their stocks. Investing in a company that we otherwise wouldn't have access to if it wasn't a publicly traded company. So just be careful with that, right? Be careful with somebody saying, oh man, you should look into this. No, no. You could be observant. You can be a casual listener. You can start to, get curious about it, but don't just jump into it just because somebody else recommended it. Learn it. Get into the Patreon. 8 things that we look for when we looking to invest in a company. All of those things. It is vitally important for you to take that organic approach. Otherwise, you're going to lose your shirt. And I'm not talking about an AD shirt. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Zadarian Thomas says, morning AD, thinking about business degree. Thoughts? No. Go into something STEM related. In my opinion, business degrees are for the fortunate. Business degrees are for children of parents that are already rich. Or people that already have a solid foundation in something STEM related. No. Don't get a business degree. A business degree is the thing that most black people go into because they can't pick nothing else, but they want to sound intelligent when they go into school. Oh, I'm going into business. I'm getting me a business degree. Nah, you're just wasting your time. Go in something STEM related. You don't need a business degree to understand business. You can learn that organically. Business degrees are for children of parents that are already rich. I have never seen more black people go into business administration. Business administration. Hey, from the time that I was in college all the way up until now, HBCUs got more business administration degrees than anybody I know, and don't nobody know no business. Now, if you are the child of a rich parent and they say, hey, you got to go to school and you don't want to get a STEM field degree, but you know that you're going to be a part of the family business, but you still need a degree, well, yeah, you can go and get a business degree. And then you could also go and get an MBA if you're really good and you dedicate yourself to it. But most people in the culture, they just get a business administration degree because it sounds good. They still don't even know how to count to 20. Don't even know how to formulate a sentence. You know what I'm saying? Or general studies, Eric D. You're absolutely right. All right, y'all, let's stop messing around. Let's go ahead and get started with the show. I'll be reading super chats throughout the show. Shout out to Brandon Nicholson says, have you heard of the Iraqi dinar? Yeah, that's their form of currency. I know about the dinar. Speaking into existence, Key says, good morning, AD, first super chat. Shout out to the first super chat ever for you. Good morning, AD, first super chat. Been watching for a year. Love your perspective. Would you recommend car sales for a 24-year-old starting out? Yep. I wouldn't make that your final destination, but I think that understanding sales, going into commission type sales, will teach you everything. Everything. It's not a final destination. Yeah, I think you should go into it. Absolutely. 100%. I don't think you should stay there. I think you should still go to school and look for a long-term career, because I don't think that being a car salesman is going to be a long-term career for you. But yeah, if you're 24, Go ahead and crash out. Go get that commission, see what you can sell, learn lessons, and stay in school and make sure that you continue to level up, all right? Anyways, let's continue on with the show. You'll learn a lot in sales. You'll learn a whole lot in sales. All right, y'all. Quick Hits. Quick Hits is the segment of the show that we don't necessarily think you need to dedicate an entire segment to. Each individual subject, but we definitely want to keep y'all in the loop on what's going on in these streets. First things first, they're looking for a guy in New York that is basically intentionally setting fire. He's a pyromaniac. But in addition to that, Kathy Hochul is making adjustments to the trains and putting 2 police officers overnight on every train because that's where the majority of the crime happens. Check it out.
A serial arsonist on the run this morning. Police releasing video of a man who set 4 fires in less than 2 hours and damaged 2 parked cars in the early morning hours last Friday. Cops say this disturbing video shows him setting fire to a pile of garbage on a J train at the Woodhaven Avenue stop, right next to somebody who was sleeping. Shortly before that, police say this.
Beware of anybody that got on a Pooh Shiesty mask. I just want to say that before we get started. Anybody that got on a Pooh Shiesty mask, y'all don't know what a Pooh Shiesty mask is. A Pooh Shiesty mask is the one that cover your whole face and it just got your eyes out like that. Those are the masks that's preferred by robbers and the little young boys that's out here doing things they're not supposed to do.
Same man set fire to a parked NYPD car in front of City Hall, as well as another parked car less than a block away. He also started a trash can on fire, police say. Fortunately, nobody was injured in any of those fires.
Look at dude. Look what he doing. And then there's other people that's standing around him. This is how nonchalant they are in New York. There's other people that's standing around him, looking at him do it, and they're not holding him accountable whatsoever. And you know these type of crimes, usually they graduate, right? It's just like go and watch one of these shows on Netflix, Mind Hunters and stuff like that. When they're profiling these people, whether it's a serial killer or a pyromaniac or an arsonist or a thief, they graduate. They start at small mice, killing insects all the time, just obsessed. Listen, the person that ultimately wind up being a serial killer, he started off burning ants. The person that winds up being a serial killer, he was the kid who you seen by himself on the sidewalk. He wasn't using chalk. He wasn't playing hopscotch. He wasn't hooping and playing basketball. He was burning ants. He graduated from burning ants to kicking cats. And then he graduated from kicking cats to trying to find and kill mice. Next thing you know, he's sitting there dating your daughter. No. The kid, think about it. Go back. See, we used to just ignore a lot of these signs. But think about it. Go back and look at and think about the kid in your neighborhood that used to, you know what I'm saying, always want to see ants burn. Think about that guy. I'm telling you. But this is Kathy Hochul talking about what changes they're making in New York on the subways.
Morning, Governor Hochul is going to be ironing out the details of her $77 million subway safety.
Life. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you. Listen, I pay attention to the details. That's why I'm so situationally aware. That's why I made it. That's why I made it out the hood, because I pay attention to the details. Y'all just be ignoring people. Oh, ain't no big deal. He just drowning ants. No. He's setting himself up for a prison bid later on in life.
Program, the big focus, safety measures, including putting a cop on every train overnight. Eyewitness News reporter Phil Tate is live in Grand Central. Phil?
Yes, Charlene, good morning. In just months, security underground could have a brand new look, and that's as Governor Hochul wants 2 cops on every train during the overnight hours. And just
Trini Life just told you how he did it. They got a magnifying glass, and when it was sunny outside, they went and found an ant. And every time they get a magnifying glass, they be like, tss, tss, tss. They learn something new. Now they burning ants up. Better listen to me. Your daughter gonna like him. That ant burning kid with that beady bead head, your daughter is gonna start dating him, and then you're gonna be like, I never knew, I didn't see the signs. Anton told you. You need to vet it more effectively.
Couple of hours this morning, Governor Hochul will appear here at Grand Central Terminal, and that's when she'll be ironing out all the details as to how this plan will look. Just yesterday in a press conference upstate, she shared how much this could all cost, a hefty price tag of $77 million. Now, Hochul, at her State of the State address, she gave a brief outline of the proposed 6-month initiative to put a cop on nearly 147 overnight trains between 9 at night to 5 in the morning. Now, she says the most crimes happen overnight, and added patrol would be in addition to the National Guardsmen that have been redeployed into the transit system. Now, approximately 750 NYPD officers would be stationed across the city, with an additional 300 in the train cars themselves. Now, 30 subway stations that account for about 50% of crime in the transit system would also see ramped up enforcement and be prioritized.
You look at most of the crimes that are committed is on the overnight hours. We also want to have the police deployed so they can make sure that when commuters get out in the morning, that the environment is safe, that those who need assistance are not on the trains in the morning, those who have been maybe spent the night on the train, that we can help people get to supportive locations. And so
they're trying to instill confidence because they had so much crime that's happening in New York and on the trains and everything like that. And so they're trying to instill confidence in people, which I understand that, because people have to believe that they're safe even if they're not, in order for society to run, in order for society to function. The question that I have is, why isn't an additional amount of money that they got to spend when you already have police officers on a task force, you already got to pay them? Why we can't just reallocate where they are? Why do we have to spend a whole lot of extra money in order to do so? Anyways, that's what's going on over in New York. New York is an S show. I can't curse, but New York is an S show. Also, a man was found hiding in a dumpster after killing a police deputy and injuring his canine dog. Check it out.
Tonight, a nearly 6-hour intense manhunt for a suspect accused of killing a Brazoria County deputy is over after a canine found the suspect hiding in a dumpster.
That led to a shootout that ended with the suspect dead and the canine wounded.
We have extensive team coverage for you tonight with more on the deputy, the canine's condition, and the suspect's violent history. Leading us off is Anayeli Ruiz. You witnessed much of this go down today, Anayeli.
Well, that's right. We were in the same parking lot when the shots rang out. We were actually down that way. Everyone rushed out here to the scene, and this is where it all ended. This was a moment officers rushed to the scene at around 5 p.m. today. Investigators say they shot and killed 56-year-old Robert Lee Davis, the suspect wanted for killing a deputy.
The bad guy was a bad guy. And it's unfortunate that it was a tragic end like this.
It all started at around 11 a.m. when the U.S. Marshals Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force served an arrest warrant at a shopping center off Estella Link near 610. They surrounded this truck Davis was in. Surveillance video shows Davis was the passenger jumping out and allegedly shooting Deputy Jesus Vargas, a 17-year veteran. Davis then ran away.
The driver cooperated. He came back into and got interviewed, so we don't suspect him in any other involvement other than giving the suspect a ride.
Officers searched the area for hours, and witnesses here tell us.
Fam, I need y'all to learn some English. I know we going over Officer Davis's untimely demise and all of that stuff, but y'all listen, when y'all come into this country, y'all gotta learn some English, man. I love me some Miami. I love going to kick it with my people down there in the MIAO. But y'all gotta learn some dog English, man. I'm about to go keep on sitting and y'all talking about, oh man, this whole community of people, they only know Spanish. Man, get you some English lessons. Even the immigrants that was coming over here illegal during the Biden administration had to go and take some English classes in order to get their food stamps. Y'all over here keep on talking that mumbo jumbo to me. When I go over to your country, I expect for you to do that. But when you over here in the United States of America, you speak English. So sick of doing interviews and we got to get a translator, keep putting closed captions on y'all. I don't even want to look at the rest of this story. Hey, shout out to all of the police officers and the deputies and the people that serve United States of America. and the first responders and all of y'all. Y'all are the ghosts, but I'm not going to do no more of this story because I'm sick of it. Sick of y'all not knowing no god dog English. And then Maryland Governor Wes Moore is under fire for raising property taxes and raising taxes on people because they got a budget deficit and they don't know how to manage their budget effectively.
Governor Wes Moore is announcing new budget cuts as Maryland faces a $3 billion budget shortfall.
Our Maryland Bureau Chief Brad Bell spoke
Keep on talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Oh, man, no, we love everybody. I do love you, but I love you more when you know how to speak English. Keep on talking. Hey, you need to learn a second language. I don't plan on living outside of the United States of America. Well, I got to learn a second language. If I learn a second language, I'm going to learn it because I want to learn a second language, not because it should be required for me to live in a different place in the United States of America. I mean, I got to learn Spanish. I got to learn mumbo jumbo and all of these other freaking languages just because you don't want to make the adjustment. Can't wait for the grown-ups to get in office. Well, we got 4 days before the inauguration. You come over here, you learn English. I'm not going to sit here accommodating you. Well, we got to make room for the other kids. No, we don't. Tell Maria, tell Maria to learn English. Keep on playing with you.
the governor today about the possibility of tax hikes. Brad?
Yeah, look, the governor has been saying he's not going to be able to cut his way out of the deficit. And he is stressing that most Marylanders will see tax cuts. But today, for the first time, he's admitting that some Marylanders will see a tax increase, but he's not yet ready to give the details.
What's up to my girl, Mika?
As he continues to make his case for his soon-to-be-released budget, Maryland Governor Wes Moore today appearing at a quantum computing company in College Park, pitching $128 million in state investment in what he...
Somebody said it's nothing wrong with learning another language or being bilingual. Don't be that black, AD. That ain't got nothing to do with being black. That got something to do with being American. I know plenty of good old country white folk that don't want to learn no other language because they don't plan on leaving their park. Okay? So that's just being a good old country boy American. We like oil. We're like our women big. And we like our beer. And we don't like to have to learn another language when we are the Americans. Okay? Back to Wes Moore, another incompetent governor.
He views as growth industries.
Because economic growth is at the center of everything that we hope for and is the key to overcoming every single challenge that sits in front of us.
I don't trust Wes Moore at all. I never trusted him. First of all, because he a Democrat. Secondly, because he ain't got no facial hair. Unless you making $30 million, $20 million, $18 million, and they paying you to be a newscaster, you're going to have to get some facial hair. You're not going to sit here with black lips and no mustache. I don't even care if you decide that you don't want to rock a beard. You're not going to get no mustache. You got black lips, no mustache, and you a grown man, and you don't make more than $10 million a year. There's no reason for you not to have facial hair. I don't trust him. I knew he was a snake just by observing him and profiling him in that way.
Moore is facing a $3 billion budget deficit and a requirement that the budget be balanced by the end of the 90-day legislative session. He has previously revealed he can cut $2 billion, but in a guest commentary in the Baltimore Sun today admitted he wants to raise taxes for some. Moore writing, quote, "I will ask us Marylanders who have done exceptionally well financially to contribute a little more." But he is not yet ready to answer our questions about the details. How can you define people who did exceptionally well?
Don't keep
How
smiling,
much will they be
Wes.
taxed? Who are they? And what kind of revenue do you expect?
Well, the big thing is that we need to make sure we're cleaning up this tax code.
But you're not yet ready to say who has done exceptionally well, what the numbers are?
Oh, we're releasing our budget tomorrow. People will see exactly tomorrow exactly how that's laid out.
Moore does say 82% of Marylanders will see no tax change or a tax cut, seemingly suggesting
Black lips, white teeth.
18%
I'm with
may
it.
see an increase. Republicans, though a decided minority in the legislature, oppose any tax hikes and say the governor's plan won't work.
You can tax things to a certain level that the economy will sustain. When you tax it above that level, you produce the opposite effect.
Correct.
People stop doing the activity, or they move out of your taxing range, or they
correct.
change their economic impact. And that's what's going to happen with any proposal to say, hey, we're just going to tax the top quarter, the top half of 1%.
We are not.
Every single time that you raise taxes, you generate less revenue because those that can leave will leave. Listen, especially if you are in a state that is not conducive for it. Most people, most business people, move to climates, colder climates, climates that may not have as big of a population, climates that may not necessarily have the best tax code because A, they have business incentives, or B, they see an economic opportunity that's just too good to pass up. And so they then work with their leaders, legislators, to then build the businesses there. But if you have the ability to move, listen, why would I let you tax me more to stay in Maryland? I can move right across the street. I could go. The people that suffer are usually the ones that can't go anywhere. You start to tax people, you think that, and see, this is the part that a lot of people don't understand. Y'all think, oh yeah, you could just tax the rich more. They'll pay more. No, they won't. They'll move. They'll leave. And then we'll fly back and forth to come and visit our parents, or we'll take our family with us. You can't overtax people because then you make it less conducive for businesses to be able to thrive. And then that's when you start to have a brain drain. You start to get population decline. You start to do all of that. And then you just throw away everything. You rob Peter to pay Paul. And they think that just because they smile with their white teeth and black lips, that you're just supposed to take it. People have the ability to leave, especially if they have resources.
Not raising sales taxes. We are not raising property taxes. We're cutting the corporate in tax rate. We're eliminating the inheritance tax. And I think for the people like myself who've done very, very well over these past years, yes, we are being asked to pay a little bit more because we believe that that is going to help to ignite the kind of economic momentum and the data-driven momentum that people are looking for.
Yeah, so there you go. The governor put himself in the category of people who will be paying more in the way of taxes. He did do very well. He is considered to be a wealthy man. So look, we're going to get the details of this budget tomorrow. I will be sitting down with him again tomorrow. He's agreed to answer our questions, and we should know a little bit more about what he has in mind, what this budget is going to look like. It's one of the toughest budgets this state has.
So, Maryland, I am going to be on that tomorrow. We're going to break down y'all budget proposal the same way that they broke down the budget proposal in Chicago. I'm going to be on top of Maryland. Wes Moore is running y'all state into the ground, and I feel sorry for the homeowners there. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your quick hits, all right? Let me go ahead and read some of these super chats, and then we're going to go ahead and get started with the show. Shout out to Mark G. says Trump is going to do big things with XRP. Midwest Midwest Niji says, been rocking with you since March 2024. I love the new studio professionalism. Keep ghosting and grinding, brother. Flawless victory, boxtality. Shout out to Levite Apparel. Levite Apparel says, Anton, shalom, bro. Praying the Lord to help us siphon some of your work ethics because your ability to be focused on business is impeccable. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. You know what it is, Levite Apparel? You know what it is, honestly? I love what I do. I love working. It's not even loving what you do. I think that that's the part that people don't understand. It's not about loving what you do, right? You know how they say if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life? It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I love hustling. I love hustling. If I was a drug dealer, I think I would be the greatest drug dealer of all time. If I was a car salesman, I would be the greatest car salesman of all time. If I was, I used to sell door to door during during the housing crisis in 2008. I would go business to business to business to business. I would pitch every single business because I was commission based. I had a daughter to feed. I was the greatest at what I did. No matter what I'm doing, I love the hustle. I love working. It doesn't matter what the work is. When I worked at the steel mill, I loved working at the steel mill and putting in that time. when I worked in corporate America, I loved dressing up, and I would dress just like this when I go into corporate America. And I love that. Like, I'm a hustler's hustler. Like, you know what I'm saying? So the work ethic just come with it. That's the byproduct of the hustle. But if you're the type of guy, that just like to chill every day, and you think that when I hear guys, I used to hear guys in coaching sessions all the time, and they would say, Anton, I'm trying to understand what I'm meant to do. You meant to do. You just said it. You meant to do. Do something. Just get up and go. I'm trying to find my passion. You're not defined by any man-made label. All of these jobs out here, right? Oh man, I'm a horticulturalist and I'm a street paver. But you think that when you woke up one day or when God was putting together the earth, he was saying, you know what? One day we're going to need people to pave streets, and that's your passion. One day we're going to need software engineers, and that's your passion. No, that's just a means to an end. That's just filling a void in the marketplace for something that somebody else created, and now they need workers to continue to fulfill that dream. The hustle is to be productive, and then you then find your way along with that. You forever going to be finding your way. I'm still finding my way at 42 years old. I don't know. I have a vision for my life, but I don't know where I'm going to be at 45. Hopefully, I'll be building a bigger studio and all of this stuff. But then the thing that you think that you were, it changes because you learn more and you evolve. And so if you're still trying to find your purpose, I don't care if you're 23 or if you're 43 or you're 63. The hustle and the grind and the work is what then shows you what you're supposed to be doing. I love hustling. It don't matter what the hustle is. You got to work, bro. I can see the nature of a person just by how productive they are. I don't care what they're doing. I could teach you anything you need to know with regard to the industry that we in. It doesn't matter what that is. I just need to see if you're the type of person that's grinding. Oh man, you know what? If I had something I really cared for, I would hustle. If I really liked this job, I would do it differently. No, you sleeping on the job because you a sleepy dude. You sleepy. You one of the Smurfs. One of the whatever, how many Smurfs it was. Nappy, sleepy. We need a whole new set of Smurfs. BDB Smurf, Nappy Smurf, breathtaking Smurf, sleepy Smurf, and all of them was trash. You just got to get to it, bro. You know what I'm saying? You can't teach work ethic. That's one thing you don't have to learn is work ethic. Just telling you the real. Shout out to Latrell. I appreciate you. Jerry says, I blame COVID and demons for this insanity. No, I just blame people. The sliding doors on the Millionaire Morning Show set go crazy. Oh, y'all, listen, if y'all want to see the behind the scenes, I'm never going to show y'all what's really happening inside of the studio and what the vision is. I dropped the video inside of the Patreon as promised, and y'all need to go and check that out. Shout out to Spaces. I appreciate you. Emmanuel Simon says, good morning, AD. Needs to be a federal ban on Pooh Shiesty masks. Good morning, AD. Leaving tomorrow night from Birmingham to D.C., 11-hour drive. Pray for safe travel. Shout out to Keyshawn White. I love that. Red Cup Podcast, Mika says, yep, told you our taxes in Maryland more than a mortgage. That's crazy. Y'all need to get up out of there. Sell while you can. Wealth Building Journey says, in Maryland, we face almost 30 new fees and tax hikes. I'm going to go over it tomorrow. Jay Ben says, Habla es pan oil. Truth Uncensored with Christina Nicole. Shout out to Christina Nicole says he's already raised 338 taxes last March. Jesus, really? Mr. Joe says Moore is another wannabe Obama. Yes, he is. I'm glad you called it out. Him and Hakeem Jeffries. AD got that black Air Force One energy early today because he didn't pray before the quick hits. That's a fact. I was just thinking about that. I was thinking to myself, I got to pray before we get into the regular show. Shout out to Jerry for holding me accountable. Just join the Patreon. Let's go up. Shout out to all of the new bag chasers. Truth Uncensored with Christina Nicole says he raised 338 taxes in March. I hate Moore. Y'all hate Wes Moore. Why y'all elect Wes Moore into the office? Wes Moore got busted for stolen valor. He claimed to be a Bronze Star recipient on an application, but his DD 214 says he never was awarded one. Oh, another Tim Walls, huh? Sean says, 80, look into the St. Louis $798 million lawsuit won against the LA Rams owner, Stan Kroenke, and how St. Louis is utilizing the money for the city. Email it to me. Y'all know I don't see nothing unless it comes in an email. Anton created his future book, The Art of the Hustle. Well, Anton create his future book? I could listen. If y'all want me to write a book, I'll be on it. That book could be done in a month. If you wanted me to write a book, it'll be done in a month, and then I'll have it proofread right after that. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. All right, let's get it popping. Lord, you see us. You see us. We in a different state. We in a different city, but the hustle is still here, and the game is so separately. Bless people to have the effort, the dedication, the love. At the very least, bless them to hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications. Not for me, but for them, Lord. Bless us to be edifying. Bless us to be on top of it. Bless us to learn something today so that we can implement it and it changes our lives in a positive way instead of still being dusty. I love you. I appreciate you, and bless the rest of this live stream to be phenomenal. In Jesus' name. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get started with the show. Have y'all not sent this to your friends and family? Let's get to it. And shout out to all of the bag chasers, and shout out to everybody that's a part of the Tiege family. 30% off your first order, 20% off for life. We're going to get this up. All right, a ceasefire deal was brokered yesterday. Well, actually, it had been being brokered for a long time, and I had no doubt that it would actually come to pass. I had no doubt that it would come to pass, and let me tell you why I had no doubt that it would come to pass. Trump brokered a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas, and Biden is trying to take the credit for it. Let me give you the summary, and then we're going to deep dive into the actual press conference that Biden had. Make sure y'all hit a like. Let's roll.
And you have been watching a CBS News special report on a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas. This just happening within the past few moments or so. I want to bring in now CBS News contributor Robert Berger. He is live in Jerusalem. Robert, I want to go over some of the terms of this agreement. 33 hostages expected to be released from Hamas in the coming days. How soon could we see these hostages released? We're talking about women, children, and senior citizens expected to be among those who are released this weekend.
Well, this is a 6-week ceasefire, so we're going to see a gradual release of these hostages, perhaps in batches of 3 or 4, with the several days in between. The hope is that the first release of 3 hostages could take place as early as Sunday.
And also, too, with this agreement, Palestinians will be released from Israeli custody. What can you tell us about that?
We think the number is around 1,000 Palestinian prisoners that would be released over this 6 weeks, this 6-week ceasefire. And that includes minors, women, and also some militants who are serving life sentences for deadly terrorist attacks on Israelis. That, of course, doesn't sit well with the Israeli public, but what people are saying is, the government too, is that that's the price you have to pay to get those Israeli hostages home. And let's point out, 33 is only about a third of the Israeli hostages held in Gaza.
This is a big win for the Biden administration, just less than a week until a new administration takes over. But Margaret Brennan brought up a really interesting point that this deal was actually brokered by members of the Biden team, but also the Trump team, too. What can you tell us about that?
Well, there's been Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, was in the region, and from what I've heard, kind of twisting arms both here in Israel and in Qatar, which to put pressure, Qatar being a mediator with Hamas, to get them to close a deal before he took office. Mr. Trump has famously said that if there wasn't a deal by his inauguration next Monday, that there would be all hell to pay. And I think that put pressure both on the Arab mediators and on the Israeli government, including Prime Minister Netanyahu.
Now it's important.
Did y'all hear that? Because I want to make sure that we don't forget anything. And I'm surprised, honestly, that CBS even gave Trump credit and people are actually recognizing it and seeing this for what it is. Trump is the one, and let me remind you, because we don't forget over here on the Millionaire Morning Show. Trump said, and he stood right there and said, listen, if those hostages are not released, if we don't have a deal in place by the time that I get in office, everybody gonna pay. Everybody is going to pay. Let me remind you, I'm going to share it with you.
But when you say all hell will
Before
be
I
paid,
take office.
that all hell must be paid if they don't release the
You know what that
hostages.
means, don't you?
Well,
Do I have to define it for you? Look, all
No, I know
hell
you're not
will
gonna
break out.
telegraph
If
what-
those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East.
Can you elaborate?
And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is. And they should have given them back a long time. They should have never taken them. There should have never been the attack of October 7th. People forget that. But there was, and many people are killed. They're no longer hostages. I have people from Israel and others calling, begging me to get, we had also people there from the United States, just so you know. They're holding some so-called hostages from the U.S. But I've had mothers come to me and fathers crying, can I get the body of their son back? Can I get the body of their daughter back? That beautiful girl where they threw her in the car, pulled her by her ponytail and threw her in the car like she was a sack of potatoes. I said, what happened to her? Sir, she's dead. Like a 19, 20-year-old beautiful girl. And the way they treated her. And I just say it this very simply. Steve's got a job to do. He's a great guy, great negotiator, great person. They respect him over there already. It's what we needed over there. We have people that know everything about the Middle East, but they can't speak properly. They don't know. He's a great negotiator. That's what I needed. I could have sent that gentleman right over there, Hussein. He's a great negotiator. There are people, they're rare. Great negotiator.
Hey, he pointed to a dude off camera. He said, I could have sent that dude over there. I could have sent that dude over there. But anyways, this was the press conference that Biden held, trying to take credit right before he left office and brokering a ceasefire deal that Trump actually brokered. Check it out.
Here now is the president.
It's a very good afternoon, because at long last, I can announce a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached between Israel and Hamas. For more than 15 months of conflict that began with Hezbollah's brutal massacre on October the 7th, more than 15 months of terror for the hostages, their families, the Israeli people, more than 15 months of suffering by the innocent people of Gaza. Fighting in Gaza will stop, and soon the hostages will return home to their families. The elements of this deal are what I laid out in detail this past May, which was embraced by countries around the world and endorsed overwhelmingly by the UN Security Council. The deal is structured in 3 phases. Phase 1 will last 6 weeks. It includes a full and complete ceasefire, a withdrawal of Israeli forces from all the populated areas of Gaza, and the release of a number of hostages held by Hamas, including women and elderly and the wounded. And I'm proud to say Americans will be part of that hostage release in Phase 1 as well. And the Vice President and I cannot wait to welcome them home. In exchange, Israel released hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. And during Phase 1, the Palestinians can also return to their neighborhoods in all areas of Gaza. And the surge of humanitarian assistance into Gaza will begin. And the innocent people can have a greater access to these vital supplies. During the next 6 weeks, Israel will negotiate the necessary arrangements to get Phase 2, which is a permanent end of the war. Let me say it again, a permanent end of the war. There are a number of details to negotiate to move from Phase 1 to Phase 2, but the plan says if negotiations take longer than 6 weeks, the ceasefire will continue as long as the negotiations continue. I've spoken to the Emir of Kuwait and the President of Egypt, and we have pledged to make sure the negotiations will keep moving forward for as long as it takes. Then, when Phase 2 begins, there will be an exchange for release of the remaining living hostages, including male soldiers, and all remaining Israeli forces will be withdrawn from Gaza, and the temporary ceasefire will become permanent. And finally, Phase 3, any final remains of hostages who have been killed will be returned to their families, and a major reconstruction plan for Gaza will begin. This is the ceasefire agreement I introduced last spring. Today, Hamas and Israel have agreed to that ceasefire agreement and the whole ending the war. Those of you who have followed the negotiations can attest, the road to this deal has not been easy. I've worked in foreign policy for decades. This is one of the toughest negotiations I've ever experienced. And we reached this point because of the pressure that Israel built on Hamas, backed by the United States. Hamas's longtime leader, Sinwar, was killed. Hamas's strongest supporter, Iran, launched attacks on Israel. And those attacks failed after my administration organized a coalition of nations to stop them. And after I ordered the U.S. ships and planes to come to Israel's defense, we also shaped Israel's strong and calibrated response, destroying Iran's air defenses, but avoiding an escalatory cycle of an all-out war. The United States also organized a coalition of 20 countries to stand up to attacks by the Houthis, including their missile attacks in Israel. Then Hezbollah, another of Hamas's strongest backers, was significantly weakened on the battlefield, and its leadership was destroyed. With our support, Israel negotiated a ceasefire with them, and after that, Lebanon finally elected a new president who's not beholden to Hezbollah, and he began a new chapter for the Lebanese people. All told, these developments in the region, which the United States helped to shape, changed the equation. And so now, the terror network that once protected and sustained Hamas is far weaker. Iran is weaker. Iran is weaker than it's been in decades. Hezbollah is badly degraded. And after more than 15 months of war, Hamas's senior leaders are dead. Thousands of Hamas fighters are dead. And the military formations have been destroyed. With nowhere to turn, Hamas finally agreed to releasing hostages. You know, there was no other way for this war to end than with a hostage deal. And I'm deeply satisfied this day has finally come, for the sake of the people of Israel and the families waiting in agony, and for the sake of the innocent people in Gaza who suffered unimaginable devastation because of the war. The Palestinian people have gone through hell. Too many innocent people have died. Too many communities have been destroyed. And this deal, the people of Gaza can finally recover and rebuild. They can look to a future without Hamas in power. You know, the Bible says, blessed are the peacemakers. Many peacemakers helped make this deal happen, including an extraordinary team of American diplomats who have worked nonstop for months to get this done. Secretary Blinken led the effort. Secretary Jake Sullivan, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, Bill Burns, John Feiner, Brett McGurk, Amos Hochstein, and the Vice President worked relentlessly as we work to deliver this deal.
And the Vice President worked. Hey, you know how you see how he threw her a bone in there at the end? Check this out. Listen to this.
National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, Bill Burns, John Feiner, Brett McGurk, Amos Hochstein, and the Vice President worked relentlessly as we work to deliver this deal.
He is reading pretty good. You know, he got those little screens that be up on the sides. They read off of those when they giving their press conferences now. He's not reciting this off of memory. I promise you he's not.
I'd also note this deal was developed and negotiated under my administration, but its terms will be implemented, for the most part, by the next administration. In these past few days, we've been speaking as one team.
Oh, wait. So wait a minute. You want the credit. Trump's people was over there twisting arms like the people that was behind the scenes that's saying, but you want the credit though, right? Okay, so listen, this was negotiated under my presidency. It's under my term technically. It's under my term, but we work together with the Trump administration that's incoming. It's not even president yet. He's been operating like the president and getting these things done, and he said that it was going to be all hell to pay. Nobody feared me. They was fearing what he got going on. And so this is the terms of the agreement. It happened under my watch, but we was both working together on a deal. See, this is how you know that Trump was the one and his team is the ones that deserve the credit, and there's the ones that they're telling you. They're telling you that the Trump administration and team are the ones that got the deal done. They're telling you to your face, but they're saying that they deserve the credit because it was technically under his watch and his administration.
This has been time of real turmoil in the Middle East. But as I prepare to leave office, our friends are strong, our enemies are weak, and there's a genuine opportunities for a new future.
So you sabotage let's put this in perspective, y'all. So you sabotage every single thing that Trump is walking into but somehow, some way, you worked with them on a ceasefire deal. You sabotage and return to work. You're sabotaging every single thing that you can get your hands on. Trump himself said that this is probably the least peaceful transition of power as far as handing over the reins and all of the stuff that the Biden administration is doing and all the laws that they passing and all of the stuff that they trying to circumvent. This is probably the least peaceful transition of power in his lifetime. But you worked with him together to get a ceasefire deal. Okay.
Lebanon, there's an opportunity for a future, free from the grip of Hezbollah. In Syria, a future free from the tyranny of Assad. And for the Palestinian people, a credible pathway to a state of their own. And for the region, a future of normalization, integration of Israel and all its Arab neighbors, including Saudi Arabia. At the G20 in Delhi in September 23.
Some of y'all are saying that he sounded real competent. I sped it up a little bit. I put the playback speed a little bit faster so that we can make sure that he sound a little bit more competent. All right. If y'all want me to slow him down, we can extend this live stream if you want me to go back to normal.
Rallied key countries behind a vision of an economic corridor from India across the Middle East to Europe. That vision can now become a reality. There are risks as well, including ISIS and Iran, even in a badly weakened state. But we're handing off to the next team a real opportunity for a better future for the Middle East. I hope they will take it. Let me close with this. My friend for years in the United States Senate, former Senator George Mitchell, who did so much to forge peace in Northern Ireland, once said about diplomacy, he said, it is a 700 days of failure and 1 day of success. 700 days of failure and 1 day of success. Well, we've had many difficult days since Hamas began its terrible war. We've encountered roadblocks and setbacks. We've not given up. And now, after more than 400 days of struggle.
After more than 400 days of struggle, you get the deal done 5 days before Trump takes off. Get the heck out of here. If y'all over here sitting here and y'all going for this trash, I got a bridge to sell you over in Maryland. If this is what y'all going for.
Today's success has arrived. God bless all the hostages and their families. May God protect the troops of all those who work for peace.
Mr. President, how do you see the future of Gaza now? As you're saying, the implementation of this deal will be in the hands of the next administration, and basically they will shape the future of Gaza. So how do you see this future? And also, how much credit do you give to the Trump team for this deal? Trump is already taking credit first.
Well, you know, this is the exact framework of the deal I proposed back in May. Exact. And we got the world to endorse it. Secondly, it's America's support for Israel that helped them badly weaken Hamas and its backers and create the conditions for this deal. And thirdly, I knew this deal would have to be implemented by the next team. So I told my team to coordinate closely with the incoming team to make sure we're all speaking with the same voice, because that's what American presidents do. Thank you.
How many Americans will be released when the hostages are being released?
All the exact detail of how many people are being held, how many bodies will be returned and less, will all be forthcoming. All of it. Thank you.
This deal will hold.
I'm confident. Thank you.
What's credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Is that a joke? Oh, thank you.
And he thought that he cooked when he did that. That was his walk-off moment. So, yes, that is what's happening with Biden administration as far as taking the credit for what Trump has brokered. And he also had a farewell speech. So we'll get into that in a second. Let me go ahead and read these super chats. Trump beat two of these candidates. Rosa B says, on the 21st, Biden will still think he is the president. Let Papa do what he do. 15 months of war, what the hell was Biden? Sleeping? Benefiting? Y'all know I ain't got to say it. Night J says, Cam's at that Zoolander training. Magnum pose. I love that. Who is this person that keep calling me? It's this old lady that got the wrong number. Hello.
That old Mr. Mark?
You got the wrong number, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Well, they gave me this number.
Who is they?
His name Mark.
No,
His name Mark.
Mark gave you the wrong number, ma'am. This is the wrong number.
All right, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, baby. Y'all got to get control of y'all grandmothers, man. Take care of y'all elderly parents, man. Don't just give them a random phone number and say, yeah, find your way home. This lady done called me all morning. Ma, what's going this the number they gave me. I said, you got the wrong number, ma'am. Ma'am, you got the wrong number. Y'all over here letting y'all grandparents, y'all great grandparents crash out, bro. Y'all over there leaving Gam over there to fend for herself and keep giving her my phone number? Ma? I didn't answer that phone like 4 times. She must have got that Biden syndrome. Shout out to Nightjade. I'm telling you, man, I don't be knowing what y'all be doing to y'all grandparents. You not know Killer Joe Reed. Shout out to you. Keyshawn White, Chris Cunningham says, I don't believe that they tried to strike a deal. Trump came through with that energy and got done. And Biden gave that stupid smile like he did. More Knowledge says this administration just broke the record for most lies told to the American people. Jerry says, block that lady, AD. If she called me again, I'll block her. She called me again, I'll block her. Trying to find somebody to take Gam home. It's too early for her to be calling me this early in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel. He said, Mark set me up, Chris Cunningham. Thank y'all. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. We just dropped the video last night. Did y'all know that I dropped that video while I was on the plane? Flying here to Portland from Michigan, from Detroit. First of all, there was no direct flights. And the first leg of the flight, you had to fly from Detroit to Seattle. That was a 5+ hour flight. I said, are we going overseas? Luckily, we was in that, the plane was a new Airbus 320 Neo. It was a phenomenal plane. That's the second time that I rolled in that Airbus. The first time was on the way back and forth to Las Vegas. And the second time was now flying on that. That is a nice plane. That is a brand new, fully equipped. Delta is buying Airbus 320, 321 Neos. That is a beautiful plane. So I was very comfortable. I worked for the entire 5+ hours. And then I had a 45-minute layover over in Seattle. And then you catch the plane from Seattle over to here to Portland. And that's like an hour flight, a little less than an hour flight. So, and here's the worst part about it. So my flight was at 8:10 Eastern, meaning that when I landed here, it was 12 o'clock this time, 3 a.m. Eastern. And then we had to get up and still make sure that we hit every single goal. We had to make sure that everything was scheduled. We had to make sure that we was prepared for the Millionaire Morning Show. We can't miss. And this is why I say that I don't want to hear no excuses from people. I am very proactive. I tell my people, hey, book me a plane to make sure that I got a comfortable seat so that I can get all of my work done. Book me a flight that makes sure it got that good Wi-Fi on it so that we can make sure that we take care of business. Hey, make sure that all of my videos is uploaded, and we'll make sure that they get the cover photos because you can't upload a video while you're on Wi-Fi on a plane. So everything has to be in motion. Everything has to be proactive. Everything has to be planned out. We're already planning out how we got to move on Monday and Tuesday because we got the inauguration, how things are going to play out next week. We setting up and preparing for Stock Club. So you got to be on top of things. No excuses. We don't take days off just because we're in a different city, just because we taking care of business, just because we doing this. We got to make sure that we get the right hotel that's in the right area. They got the right Wi-Fi. We got to do all of that. And so all of my people around me, they work. They on top of it. They working. Got to make sure that you got people to go by and check on the progress for working on the 3 properties that we building because all of them is in different phases of development. Oh, let me show y'all a picture, the latest picture. Of the one that we're probably a little bit more closer to finishing after the one that we just finished. This picture ain't that bright. It's kind of dark outside, I guess. This is the latest picture of the property that we building, y'all. All right. So that's the latest one. It's coming together beautifully. A lot of y'all seen the vlogs where it was just a hole in the ground. And so we continuing to run it up. We continuing to build properties. We got multiple companies that we run, and we can't make no excuses, all right? So while everybody else is sitting there talking about, I don't like my job, we going to create the jobs for you to come and work for us, all right? All right, y'all, let's continue on with the show. Let me read a couple more super chats. Granny wants that back rub. She want that tiger balm. And shout out to my dog, J. Ben. Rahi Dash says, what's up, Anton? No excuses. Just became a bag chaser. Open a Fidelity brokerage account. Things are about to boom. Make sure you get in the Stock Club. Stock Club, baby. Stock Club is next week. We live streaming Stock Club for all of y'all that want to tap into the Patreon. Jamani says, Unc, I'm visiting Japan in October. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. What districts and excursions should I do and visit? I'm there for 2 weeks. Oh, man. Gosh, let me wait till Rita get back in here. I think Rita's out there getting breakfast or something like that. Let me wait till Rita get back, and then I'll go through it because there was a whole lot of stuff that we did. We did a bunch of stuff. I will tell you, they getting bags in Japan too, but let me wait till Rita get back in and towards the end of the show, and then we'll have that conversation about Japan. All right, y'all, let's continue over with the show. So, staying on a whole Biden train, all right? Biden, a lot of people were not familiar with this, but he gave a farewell speech yesterday. Biden gave a farewell speech. He gave his final speech yesterday. Have y'all checked it out? If you haven't, we're going to review it together. And we're going to review it at 1.25 times speed, all right? Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get it.
My fellow Americans, I'm speaking to you tonight from the Oval Office. Before I begin, let me speak to important news from earlier today. After 8 months of nonstop negotiation, by my administration, a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached by Israel and Hamas, the elements of which I laid out in great detail in May of this year. This plan was developed and negotiated by my team and will be largely implemented by the incoming administration. That's why I told my team to keep the incoming administration fully informed.
Somebody, hold on, let me answer this question really quickly. Well, I'll address it afterwards. Kristen Duck says, well, let's address it right now. Why not? Says, how did you go from you being the one to do all of that for your business's company to gaining team members to help you get it done? We trying to do everything. And it's wild. I'll answer that question after this speech, all right? Let's stay focused for a second.
That's how it should be, working together as Americans. This will be my final address to you from the American people from the Oval Office, from this desk as president. And I've been thinking a lot about who we are and maybe more importantly, who we should be. Long ago in New York Harbor, an iron worker installed beam after beam, day after day. He was joined by steel workers, stonemasons, engineers. They built not just a single structure, but a beacon of freedom. The very idea of America was so big, we felt the entire world needed to see. The Statue of Liberty, a gift from France after our Civil War. Like the very idea of America, it was built not by one person, but by many people, from every background and from around the world. Like America, the Statue of Liberty is not standing still. Her foot literally steps forward atop a broken chain of human bondage. She's on the march, and she literally moves. She was built to sway back and forth to withstand the fury of stormy weather, to stand the test of time because storms are always coming. She sways a few inches, but she never falls into the current below. An engineering marvel. The Statue of Liberty is also an enduring symbol of the soul of our nation, a soul shaped by forces that bring us together and by forces that pull us apart. And yet, through good times and tough times, we've withstood it all. A nation of pioneers and explorers.
Is that supposed to be like a metaphor? Got it. I got it. I feel you. Metaphors and similes. We got it.
Of dreamers and doers, of ancestors native to this land, of ancestors who came by force, a nation of immigrants who came to build a better life, a nation holding the torch of the most powerful idea ever in the history of the world, that all of us are created equal, that all of us deserve to be treated with dignity, justice, and fairness, that democracy must defend and be defined and be imposed, moved in every way possible. Our rights, our freedoms, our dreams. But we know the idea of America, our institution, our people, our values that uphold it are constantly being tested. Ongoing debates about power and the exercise of power, but whether we lead by the example of our power or the power of our example, whether we show the courage to stand up to the abuse of power or we yield to it. After 50 years at the center of all of this, I know that believing in the idea of America means respecting the institutions that govern a free society, the presidency, the Congress, the courts, a free and independent press, institutions that are rooted, they just might not reflect the timeless words.
You know what's so funny? He said a free and independent press. Does that also include social media? Because Mark Zuckerberg lately has been going on a rampage. He was on a Joe Rogan show. He's been doing press conferences. And you know what Mark Zuckerberg has been saying? Mark Zuckerberg has been echoing the exact same sentiments of Elon Musk when he bought X. And he's saying that there's been censorship and bullying from the Biden administration and people within his camp that was forcing him to do things and put out a picture and paint a picture for things that they didn't know really existed, for censorship and for cover-up stories and for bullying them and painting a picture a certain way so that they can control the narrative of what happens in the media. I don't know if he's saying that social media is also a part of the media, and I don't even know if he read this speech before he decided to say it. But clearly, the tech titans who all are appearing at Trump's inauguration, I just got the notification, and I plan on doing a video to drop for y'all on the Anton Daniels channel, that even the CEO of TikTok plans on being at the inauguration on Monday. Yeah, he's saying a free and fair media, censorship free. We've had anything but. And now that we've established two lies right off the top of the bat for the beginning of this farewell address to the nation, I don't believe a word that's coming out of his mouth, but we're going to entertain it just for the sake of conversation.
But they echo the words
of that. He don't even know what he's saying. What we talking about? He don't even know what. Listen to this guy.
Free and independent press, institutions that are rooted, they just might not reflect the timeless words, but they echo the words of the Declaration of Independence.
Must have been past 3 p.m. when they recorded this, because you know them old people, they get to bed by like 6, and they be up at like 4 a.m., and they be walking the mall, as soon as the doors open at the mall, they be walking the mall to get their steps in with their Skechers.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, rooted in the timeless words of the Constitution. We, the people. Our system of separation of powers, checks and balances, it may not be perfect, but it's maintained our democracy for nearly 250 years, longer than any other nation in history.
Yes, it is, Sperdo.
Ever tried such a bold experiment. In the past 4 years, our democracy has held strong. And every day I've kept my commitment to be president for all Americans through one of the toughest periods in our nation's history. I've had a great partner in Vice President Kamala Harris. It's been the honor of my life to see the resilience of essential workers getting us through a once-in-a-century pandemic, the heroism of service members and first responders keeping us safe, the determination of advocates standing up for our rights and our freedoms,
Josh.
instead of losing their jobs to an economic crisis that we inherited. Millions of Americans now have the dignity of work. Millions of entrepreneurs and companies creating new businesses and industries, hiring American workers, using American products. Together,
making me sleep.
We've launched a new era of American possibilities.
I just woke up.
One of the greatest modernizations of infrastructure in our entire history. From new roads, bridges, clean water, affordable high-speed internet for every American. We invented the semiconductor, smaller than the tip of my little finger, and now is bringing those chip factories and those jobs back to America where they belong, creating thousands of jobs. Finally, giving Medicare the power to negotiate lower prescription drug prices for millions of seniors. And finally, doing something to protect our children and our families by passing the most significant gun safety law in 30 years and bringing violent crime to a 50-year low, meeting our sacred obligation to over 1 million veterans so far who are exposed to toxic materials, and to their families, providing medical care and education benefits and more for their families. You know, it will take time to feel the full impact of all we've done together, but the seeds are planted, and they'll grow and they'll bloom for decades to come.
Oh, God.
At home, we've created nearly 17 million new jobs, more than any other single administration.
How many people are going for this finesse? Because I can break it down for you, right? Because what they'll do is they'll say, well, we had a whole lot of job loss during the pandemic. No. How many people believe that crock of bull that he just said and that they created more new jobs than any other administration in history? He sat there with a straight face and read that off of that screen, off of the big screen. You know how when you get your phone, a lot of those. Oh, have y'all ever seen them? Like when people get their iPhones or their Androids or whatever, and they show, like, you look over and they, somebody got their glasses on and they be like this. That's what my mom be doing all the time. Mom, what you looking at? Why you got the glasses on if you're gonna look from over top of them? I'm sorry. And you know what they be looking at? It be one word per line. That's how big the screen be. Let me show you what the screen be looking like. I got to open up a website real quick. Let's say they looking at something like this. Let's say they looking at something like this. They screen be looking like this. Like, what you looking at? How can you read when the one word is bigger than the entire screen? Why is your font so big? That's how they got Biden right now. They got Biden's fonts scrolling up the screen looking like this right now. This is how them old people be staring at their phones. Be at the highest brightness, the biggest font that they can find, and it be wrong. And they still be lying and wrong and voting the wrong way. They have all of the things. Their glasses be down, but it still be on their face for no reason. It's for aesthetic purposes. That's the screen that Biden is on right now. We need to get these geezers out of Congress and out of office. No, we need to have limits, term limits for Congress and limits on. Anyways, let me continue.
A single term. More people have health care than ever before. And overseas, we've strengthened NATO. Ukraine is still free. And we pulled ahead of our competition with China. And so much more.
Y'all know
I'm so
I'm telling
proud
the
of how
truth.
much we've accomplished together for the American people. And I wish the incoming administration success because I want America to succeed.
Lies.
That's why I've held my duty to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition of power, to ensure we lead by the power of our example. I have no doubt that America is in a position to continue to succeed. That's why my farewell address tonight, I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. This is a dangerous and that's a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. The dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence. It literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms.
He's saying that it's a class war. Biden is telling y'all that it's a class war, except he's attaching it to Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg. He's attaching it to all of these guys, Warren Buffett, all of these people. He's saying it's a class war, and we need to tax the rich and take their wealth and make sure that they don't have the power that they have right now. We need to usurp democracy and capitalism and go back to communism and socialism. That's what he's saying.
And a fair shot for everyone to get ahead. We see the consequences all across America. And we've seen it before. More than a century ago, the American people stood up to the robber barons back then and busted the trusts. They didn't punish the wealthy. Just made the wealthy play by the rules everybody else had to. Workers want rights to earn their fair share. You know, they were dealt into the deal and helped put us on a path to building the largest middle class, the most prosperous century any nation in the world has ever seen. We've got to do that again. In the last 4 years, that's exactly what we've done. People should be able to make as much as they can, but play by the same rules, pay their fair share of taxes. So much is at stake. Right?
Taxes are the devil, I will tell you. Listen, the only thing that keeps me up at night, and I'm not even remotely close to a billionaire, so, this don't apply to me. I'm saying that this applies to everyday regular people that grind, hustle, and dedicate their life to whatever their craft is. The only thing, not a hoe, not my child, not jobs, not layoffs, not nothing. The only thing that keeps me up at night and that I got to figure out and I got to work with my people and my tax strategists on a regular basis is taxes. That's the only thing that keep me up at night. Taxes are absolutely out of control. And for those of y'all that live in these states where they're looking to increase taxes, and I'm not just talking about income taxes. I'm talking about taxes across the board. If y'all not paying attention, you know why? I'll give you an example. You know why I pay attention to property taxes so much? Is because I have an equation, and I'll give you guys that on the Patreon, in one of the future block clubs, maybe the next block club. I have an equation that I use to determine how much I have to charge people in rent. Now, you guys know, and I've said this here, I've said it on the Patreon, that I've never raised the rent, not one time, or any tenant that has ever lived in a property that I own. In over 10 years, I've never raised rent on anybody that has ever lived in a property that I own. I've also never had a problem tenant or anybody that moves out. But here's the problem. Here's where that comes in. I'm able to do that because I've made smart financial decisions, which means that because I carry no mortgage and I front the huge upfront building, development costs, purchasing of the property, I front load the fact that I reduce my costs by limiting the fact that I don't have to pay a mortgage, and then I pass that savings on to the person that went to property. But for example, if property taxes continue to go up exponentially because these counties and these places don't know how to manage their budgets effectively, I have a threshold for how nice I can be and how accommodating I can be because I still have maintenance costs, I still have insurance, and I still have property taxes. And so if the cost of me doing business, because I've limited the amount of costs that I have, you know what I'm saying, as far as how much I would have to cost me to maintain a property or property taxes or the mortgage or interest rates or anything, I don't have those carrying costs. I tend to pass that over into the consumer because I'm not necessarily looking to make a whole bunch of money. I'm just looking to make sure that I have great tenants and that I have a great business relationship that benefits both of us. But if my costs continue to go up, if the cost of maintenance, if the cost of insurance, if the cost of property taxes, if all of these things continue to go up, at some point, I have to pass that down to you so that I'm not operating in a deficit. You see what I'm saying? As nice as I am, I can only be so nice because if you have incompetent leaders and people like Joe Biden that keep saying, well, you know, they need to pay even more in taxes, who you think is that cost is going to get passed over to? You see what I'm saying? You can't say there should be some protection for renters if they're not protections for landlords, the ones that actually front the costs. Because everybody is not super rich. We're not institutional investors. We're individual people that created companies and ultimately, you know, it lands in your lap. And so how good it comes for us is ultimately how great it becomes for you. Taxes across the board are egregious. It is crazy the amount of taxes that we are paying as a society, as a culture, and as a nation. Let me get to the rest of this address.
Now, the existential threat of climate change has never been clearer. Just look across the country,
downhill.
from California to North Carolina. That's why I signed the most significant climate and clean energy law ever in the history of the world, and the rest of the world is trying to model it now. It's working, creating jobs and industries of the future. Now, we've proven we don't have to choose between protecting the environment and growing the economy. We're doing both. The powerful forces want to wield their unchecked influence to eliminate the steps we've taken to tackle the climate crisis, to serve their own interest for power and profit. We must not be bullied into sacrificing the future of our children and our grandchildren. We must keep pushing forward and push faster. There's no time to waste. It's also clear that American leadership in technology is an unparalleled source of innovation that can transform lives. We see the same dangers of the concentration of technology, power, and wealth. You know, his farewell address, President Eisenhower spoke of the dangers of the military-industrial complex. He warned us then about, and I quote, the potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power, end of quote. 6 decades later, I'm equally concerned about the potential rise of a tech industrial complex that could pose real dangers for our country as well. Americans are being buried under an avalanche of misinformation and disinformation, enabling the abuse of power. The free press is crumbling. Editors are disappearing. Social media is giving up on fact-checking. The truth is smothered by lies, told for power and for profit.
They cloak it in the form of fact check. They say it's fact checking, really it's censorship. They say it's fact checking, but really it's censorship. The only way that they can stop the information and control the media, because let me tell you what really happens. They want to control the level of information that you get so that you're less informed and that they can control the narrative and they can push this legislation through. They can push through the people that they want in office. They can get past the military industrial complex and continuing to profit on that type of front. But as long as you have independent journalists like me, as long as you have independent journalists and people that's actually dedicated to bringing the information and letting the people decide for themselves, you don't need fact checkers. The people are smart enough to be able to, determine what is right information and what's wrong information. You as a content creator, your credibility is on the line, and that should be enough because the people can choose to not rock with you if they get bad information. So, I think that this whole censorship conversation and this bullcrap is bullcrap. Elon Musk, when he bought X, released the files to show that they were censoring and throttling information depending on what side of the aisle that you were on, because they did. Man, listen. Let me just say this. This pandemic, looking back on it, it changed everything. Even to today, in 2025, we still can't talk about 9/11, or you're going to end up demonetized like Candace Owens, and that's a fact. In 2025, you can't talk about 9/11 or even have a conversation. We can't even say certain words on the platform without videos being demonetized. That's a fact. We need less censorship, not more. We need less censorship. Even if I disagree with what somebody is saying, I don't believe in censoring them because I think that the people should be smart enough to determine and make the decision for themselves. You can't even say certain words. I'm just going to tell you the real. We have a list of things that we have to stay away from so that we don't then suffer financially. I know people that lost their entire monetization and platforms for saying certain words during the pandemic. We had to modify the words that we were saying. We had to say jab. We couldn't say that word. We had to say, hey man, you getting the jab? Hey bro, you getting the jab? If people said, no, I don't want to get the jab, or if they start saying a word or they start speaking out against it or the effects that was happening against them, all of that stuff hushed up. Everybody had to be quiet. And some places you couldn't even travel to or get work if you didn't take the jab. You couldn't even, they was taking your money. If that ain't a form of censorship and controlling the media, I don't know what is. I'm just telling you.
We must hold the social platforms accountable to protect our children, our families, and our very democracy from the abuse of power. Meanwhile, artificial intelligence is the most consequential technology of our time, perhaps of all time. Nothing offers more profound possibilities and risk for our economy and our security, our society, for humanity. Artificial intelligence even has the potential to help us answer my call to end cancer as we know it. But unless safeguards are in place, AI could spawn new threats to our rights, our way of life, to our privacy, how we work and how we protect our nation. We must make sure AI is safe and trustworthy and good for all humankind. In the age of AI, it's more important than ever that the people must govern. And as the land of liberty, America, not China, must lead the world in the development of AI. In the years ahead, it's going to be up to the president, the presidency, the Congress, the courts, the free press, and the American people to confront these powerful forces. We must reform the tax code, not by giving the biggest tax cuts to billionaires, but by making them begin to pay their fair share. We need to get dark money. That's that hidden funding behind too many campaigns contributions. We need to get it out of our politics. We need to enact an 18-year term limit time and term, for the strongest ethics and the strongest ethics reforms for our Supreme Court. We need to ban members of Congress from trading stock while they're in the Congress. We need to amend the Constitution to make clear that no president is immune.
It's never going to happen. Never going to happen. You're never going to ban Congress from having insider trading. It's impossible. The only way that you can ban a Congress member from having insider trading is if you then prosecute them if they are found to, but nobody is ever going to prosecute a Congress member, and they all have insider information, and so it's impossible. I've been hearing that rhetoric and that talk for decades. This is all just a talking point. Let me get rid of it. Let me hear the rest of this speech and see if there's anything else to mine out, and then we're going to go to the next story.
From crimes that he or she commits while in office. The president's power is not limited. It's not absolute, and it shouldn't be.
I wonder if that applies to you and your son and what was going on over in Ukraine. I wonder if that applies to him and his son, and for him having a pardon all the way back to 2014. Does that apply? It sounds like the president's power was absolute in that situation. Interesting.
In a democracy, there's another danger to the concentration of power and wealth. It erodes a sense of unity and common purpose. It causes distrust and division. Participating in our democracy becomes exhausting and even disillusioning. And people don't feel like they have a fair shot. We have to stay engaged in the process. I know it's frustrating. A fair shot is what makes America America. Everyone's entitled to a fair shot, not a guarantee, but just a fair shot, an even playing field, going as far as your hard work and talent can take you. We can never lose that essential truth, remain who we are. I've always believed, and I've told other world leaders, America can be defined by one word: possibilities. Only in America do we believe anything is possible. Like a kid with a stutter from modest beginnings in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claremont, Delaware, sitting behind this desk in the Oval Office as President of the United States. That's the magic of America. It's all around us. Upstairs in the residence of the White House, I've walked by a painting of the Statue of Liberty I don't know how many times.
That's cool. All right. We got enough. We got the gist of it. Lying on his way out of office, that's pretty much the sentiment of it. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Kristen Duck 07 says, how did you go from you being the one to do all of the work, basically, for your business and companies, to gaining team members to help you get it done? We trying to do everything, and it's wild. For any company, it has to grow organically. If you hire people to think, to do the work before you then become profitable or before you can afford to do so, hoping that it grows, you are going to go bankrupt. I always look for, as a UXer, right? I always look for how I can minimize the amount of movements that we make as a company, as individuals, and even for the jobs of the people that I hire. I like to minimize the amount of movements that a person make, and I make sure that we can do as much as possible before we bring somebody else in. And my mindset from that is, and this also applies to me, I'd rather pay somebody as much as I possibly can than to have 3 people and split it up into 3 different jobs. I'd rather pay somebody $200,000 a year, $240,000 a year, than paying 3 people $80,000 a piece. I'd rather pay one person $240,000 than paying 3 people $80,000 a piece. That's just always been my philosophy, because I believe, and let me say this also, I want to add this in here. I believe that most people are lazy, and very rarely do you see people do 8 hours to 10 hours worth of work on a daily basis. Most engineers, they only work in 2 to 3 hours a day. Most people that's even in call centers, unless you are like a person that's on the ground getting to it, an Amazon worker or something like that, most people are wasting their time. So in my opinion, I think that it would be more productive and more conducive to get somebody that's really willing to really do the work and pay them a lot of money than paying a whole bunch of people segmented money, and then they not even adequate and they can't work together. They're not a cultural fit. You got to figure all of that out, right? So that's A. But B, you have to grow into your company. People starting off, I need somebody to do this or I need somebody to do that. No, you need to figure out how to streamline and do it yourself. And once you do it yourself, once you learn it yourself, then you can teach somebody else what your cultural norms are. But until you do, then Dan Gilbert has this thing called the isms, right? He has this thing called the isms. And anybody, I don't know if anybody has ever worked for Dan Gilbert or any one of his rocket companies. He has this thing called the isms. Mike Ishba. Dan Gilbert is the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, owner of Rocket Mortgage, Bedrock Companies. He's a major, major billionaire that is doing great work in Detroit. Matt Ishba has a similar philosophy, except for he does it for the United Warehouse Mortgage, which is also a competitor of Dan Gilbert's Rocket Companies. But Matt Ishba is also headquartered in Michigan, and he's a Michigan State alumni. And more importantly, he's the owner of the Phoenix Suns. If y'all go and work for some of these companies, or you go and learn and study under these people, you will learn their cultural fit and their cultural norm and how they grew their companies to be so great. It wasn't by recruiting as many people as they can. It's about creating a cultural fit and then doing it yourself and then extending that grace over into other people that ultimately come into the culture. I started off with myself. Okay, I need to learn how to do this. I need to learn how to do this. I need to learn, just say content creation, for example. I wasn't a photographer, but I wanted to learn how to use the best cameras or how to, oh man, it's not even the cameras. You don't have to spend $10,000 on a Netflix Red camera. You can just use your own iPhone, or you can use a Sony A7 or A6100, and you just need a better lens and some better lighting. You see what I'm saying? People overspend because they think that spending a whole lot of money is going to yield them a better product, and it's not. You just need to learn how to do things more effectively. Oh, wait a minute. I don't need a whole production studio where people is panning the camera. I just need to learn how to get 2 or 3 different cameras set up and then be able to toggle between the ones that I want. How do I do that? And so you start to explore, you start to learn. And so it's okay with doing things yourself. You just need to learn how to do things more effectively and streamline it. You see what I'm saying? And then once you start to hire people, you hiring people because you're releasing yourself of this responsibility so you can generate more revenue so you can increase wages. That's the way I look at it. Great question, but you should have super chatted that one. I got that one for free. I gave you that game for free. Cynthia Haynes says, congratulations, sir. It's a magnificent feeling. Being able to build on your dream, faith and hard work definitely pays off. Facts. And faith without works is dead. Add that in there too. For Jamani, if you're a chaser, there's a member of the Discord named Kumetsu. Bro is in Japan and is super cool. I'm sure he can give you some guidance. Shout out to all of my bag chasers. We got over 14,000 members. If you're not a part of the Discord, the link to the Discord is in the description of any of the most recent videos inside of the Patreon. You're really missing out on your group. CL Jacob says Biden equal fire marshal bill. If you know, you know. Shout out to fire marshal bill. I am Annie Marie. Shout out to you for the super sticker. Ryan Powell says these thousands of jobs went to illegals. Appreciate you, Ryan. 3-Man Podcast says, shout out to Kamala. You better thank a union member. Jerome Gray says, all facts, Biden. Michael Johnson says, Mr. President, those seeds are dandelions. Resurrect Men's says, Biden and the Dems never rescinded tax cuts before the rich. 3-Man Podcast says, Biden needs some coke or something. Dang. Rush King 19 is in the building, says he is basically saying you won't feel what he did till Trump is in. So anything Trump does, he will claim. Also, you make more, we take more. That's a really good way to summarize it. So even if you get your fair share, we will punish you for making more, because how dare you level up after all of your hard work. Wyatt B856 says, 80, please move on to the next topic. I was behind the live and fast forwarded it and still see this man. Shout out to y'all. If y'all not a part of the Patreon, the link is in the description, pinned to the top of the chat. Just dropped the video yesterday. Also, Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. Let's get it popping. All right, so let's get over into Pam Bondi. All right, Pam Bondi, similar to Pete Hegseth, was grilled yesterday in Senate hearings. And to be honest with you guys, I believe that these Senate hearings are not necessarily exposing or bringing anything to light in these people that are being nominated for these cabinet positions. I believe that these Senate hearings are showing how incompetent our Congress members are. I think that these Senate hearings are showing how incompetent our legislators are. These Senate hearings are showing how incompetent our House members are. We have some idiot people in our legislative branches that is governing us and is making the laws and determining how it is that we live our lives every single day. I don't believe that these Senate hearings are doing anything other than showcasing how competent Trump is and how incompetent people in our legislative branches are. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's rock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, as you know, the Supreme Court in Trump versus United States held the president has absolute immunity to commit crimes in certain core areas of the president's responsibility. One of those core areas is the Justice Department. So in a breathtakingly dangerous and irresponsible decision, Justice Roberts and the majority held the president can commit crimes using the Department of Justice and be immune from prosecution. Justice Sotomayor correctly said this new immunity lies about like a loaded weapon. So the fear and the concern we have is that the incoming president will use that loaded weapon, that immunity, to commit crimes through the Department of Justice. And for that reason, it is all the more important that we have an attorney general who has the independence, the strength, the intestinal fortitude to say no to the president when it is necessary. So my first set of questions has to do whether you have the independence to say no when you must say no. And you can say this is hypothetical, but it is not hypothetical. So let me start with one very specific non-hypothetical. The president has said Jack Smith should go to jail. Will you investigate Jack Smith?
Senator, I haven't seen the file. I haven't seen the investigation. I haven't looked at anything. It would be irresponsible of me to make a commitment regarding anything without, you're a long practicing attorney, without looking at a file.
So you would need a factual predicate to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
Not a summary by you sitting here. Yes, sir.
And not a summary.
That's why I like women. Guys, they're a little bit more straightforward. Pete Hegseth was just looking at him like, you know I'm not a general, right? Women, especially my snow bunnies. Shout out to my snow bunnies. Let me get a round of applause for the snow bunnies. Women, they throw a lot of underhanded shots. If you ain't never dealt with a woman and she done said something crazy to you, but you didn't know if she was being evil or facetious or being ugly to you, if you ain't never dealt with a woman and she made you think about what she said after you said it, and you went back and said, that stupid little funky ugly thing, I can't believe she said that to me, then you ain't dealt with a woman. Why you laughing in there, Rita? Listen, you first learn it from your mothers. Listen to how your mothers used to talk. Listen to how your mothers, you like Pam. I know you like Pam. The women like Pam. You said that seemed pretty direct to you. See, that's because y'all don't know what y'all doing. Y'all be hurting feelings. Hey, babe, can you grab me something to eat? Look like you already been eating to me. You sure you want something else to eat? Hey, you sitting at the table. Hey, you ordering your food. Let me get, hey, you order whatever you order. Let me get, I don't know, a burger, whatever, right? And then once the waiter go away, you ain't had no vegetables lately? That's the thing that women do. That's the thing that your mama used to do to your father. They do stuff like put the remote far away from the TV. Well, you've been sitting there all day. I figured you can at least get up to cut the TV off. That's the type of stuff that women do. You know what I'm saying? And this is what you're seeing from Pam Bondi. Listen, I could look at the file, but, not at your directive. That's what they talk like when they got an attitude or when they don't like you no more. That's why your mother used to talk to your father like that.
Summary by the president either, right?
Absolutely.
So a summary by the president or his desire to investigate Jack Smith would not be
He
enough
don't even know that she threw a shot at him.
for you to open an investigation of Jack Smith. Is that right?
I will look at the facts and evidence in any case. You know.
And
We could hey babe, you know what? I think we should go on a new vacation. Maybe we should go and visit Japan. If I wasn't the only one that paid for everything. That's the type of stuff that women do.
And sitting here today,
Senator, 72% of Americans
I only have
have
7
lost
minutes.
faith in the Department of Justice.
Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Sitting here today, yes or no?
Senator, I will look at the facts and the circumstances.
You can't answer that question. You're not a part of the department yet. There's no worry about divulging
I'm sitting
law
here as a
enforcement
nominee.
sensitive information. So just tell us,
I'm
are you
sitting here as
aware?
a nominee.
Just tell us, are you aware of a factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Yes or no?
Senator, what I'm hearing on the news
Are
is
you
horrible.
aware of a?
Do I know if he committed a crime? I have not looked
You seem reluctant to answer a simple question. Let me ask you a different simple question. The president also wants to jail Liz Cheney. Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual basis to investigate Liz Cheney? Yes or no?
Senator, that's a hypothetical, and I'm not going to answer that
No,
question.
it's not hypothetical. I'm asking you, sitting here today, whether you are aware of a factual predicate to investigate Liz Cheney.
Senator, no one
Based
has
on what
asked
you
me
know.
to investigate Liz Cheney. That is a
The
hypothetical.
president has called for it publicly. You are aware of that, aren't you?
No one has asked me to investigate.
But the president
Liz.
has
We're
called-
also
the
worried about
president-
Liz Cheney,
the
Senator.
president has
You know what
called
we
for
should
this-
be worried about?
Ms. Bondi,
The
please
crime rate
answer
in
my
California
questions.
right now
You
is
are aware,
through the roof.
Ms. Bondi,
Facts.
Your
my-
robberies
Ms.
are
Bondi,
87%
my
higher
question-
than the national
My question
average.
is this.
That's what I
My
want to
question
be
is
focused
this.
on, Senator.
Do you have the
If I'm
power to
confirmed
say
as
no to the
Attorney
president?
General.
And what you're suggesting today by your non-answer is you don't have the independence to say no to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It also requires you, if you're going to be a good attorney general, to be able to tell hard truths to the president. So my questions now are, can you tell hard truths to the president? So let me start with an easy truth that you could speak to the president.
An easy truth. What is an easy truth? Either it's the truth or it's a lie. There's no such thing as your truth, my truth, an easy truth, or a hard truth. It's just the truth.
Can you tell him that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? Can you say that? Do you have the independence to say that? Do you have the gravitas, the stature, the intestinal fortitude to say, Donald Trump, you lost the 2020 election? Can you tell us that here today?
Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha. I
No,
won't
I'm just
do it.
asking you a simple
I
question.
won't play
If you can
politics
speak truth
with any
to
ongoing
power.
investigation.
So let me ask you another.
Like you did
let
leaking
me-
your
let me ask
colleague
you,
Devin Nunes's memo.
If you can't answer the
Don't play politics with Pam. Hey, I'm telling you, you need a snow bunny. If you guys have never had a snow bunny on your team, you need one. They are fierce. Just make sure it's not directed at you.
question, let me ask you a different, what should be a simple truth, not a hard one.
Another one.
Was there massive fraud affecting the result of the 2020 election? Yes or no?
Senator, I'm glad you asked that question. If you'll let me answer what I saw in Pennsylvania.
No, I asked a simple question about massive fraud.
I can only tell you what I saw in Pennsylvania.
I know you want to answer a different question, but my question is, can you tell us whether there was massive fraud affecting the results of the 2020 election? Yes or no? Was there
I
or
can
was there
tell
not?
you what I saw when I went
That's
as an
not my,
advocate
that's
to
not
the
my
campaign.
question. So you can't answer that question. You can't speak that even easy truth to us, let alone to the president. So let me ask you a different question.
This dude is jumping from question to question without even allowing for her to speak once she asked the question. When you ask the question, you got to let him answer the question, right?
It will also be important that you give good advice to the president. Are you prepared to advise the president not to pardon people who beat police officers?
Oh, God.
Senator, as I said, the pardons are at the direction of the president. We will look and we will advise. I will look at every case on a case.
so
Let me finish. On a case-by-case basis.
Okay, good.
And I abhor violence to police officers.
Follow up with that. So will it be your advice to the president, Mr. President? I know you said you want to issue hundreds of pardons on day one. Will it be your advice to the president? No, Mr. President, I need to go over them on a case-by-case basis. Do not issue blanket pardons. Will that be your advice to the president?
Senator, I have not looked at any of those files. If confirmed, I will look at the files
And
for
will
the
you be able to
pardons, as well
will
as
you
the
be able to
ongoing
review
investigation.
hundreds of cases on day one?
I will look at
How can
every
you look
file.
at hundreds of cases a day one? That don't even make sense.
I am
Of course
asked
you
to
won't.
look
So
at.
will you advise the
Hey,
president?
can I
will
answer
you-
the question?
Well, my question
I
is,
would have plenty of staff. You said, of course you want.
you'll be able to review
Listen, I'm
hundreds
not
of
going to
cases on the first day?
mislead this body nor you.
All right, let me ask another question. You don't want to answer that. Let me ask
You were
another question.
censured by
It will
Congress,
also-
Senator, for
it will
comments just
also-
like this that
it
are
will
so
also- It will also be important for you to be able to preserve the records, the evidence of the department. Are you ready to commit that none of the evidence in the January 6th investigation will be destroyed under your watch?
Senator, I will follow the law. I will consult with ethical officials in the
Do you
department.
see any ethical basis to destroy evidence in the January 6th investigation? Then why can't you answer the question? Why can't you say, I commit to this committee, we will never destroy the evidence in the January 6th investigation? Why can't you give this committee and the American people that assurance?
Are you frightened because evidence was destroyed against President Trump that was false? Is that why you're
Why do
frightened
you
now?
have difficulty?
Whoa, whoa. I like me a snow bunny. A snow bunny is no joke. They don't play no games. They don't answer the questions that you want them to answer. If you want some evidence, all you got to do is go over to family court. Snow bunnies, listen, snow bunnies are no joke. They will do to you worse than you will do to yourself. You ain't seen a snow bunny until you seen one in family court. They cry. I can't feed my children on $12 million a month. Telling you, get you a snow hare, a snow bunny.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I begin, I just want to remind us all for the record that the 34 convictions, not indictments, convictions of former President, incoming President Trump were by a jury of his peers. Thank you, Ms. Bondi, for being here today, and I too would like to welcome your family and friends who are here.
Thank you.
Appreciated the opportunity to meet yesterday to learn about your priorities and discuss a number of issues that are important to me. But I got to tell you, as I reflected on our conversation yesterday and as I've observed the hearing today, I continue to have significant reservations on your ability to function as a truly independent Attorney General for your friend. Let's say you keep referring to him, your friend, President-elect Trump. So I hope you can address some of these concerns through your responses to my questions here. Now, the first issue area is something that we didn't get a chance to touch on yesterday. So I actually want to follow up on some of Senator Durbin's questions from earlier about the 2020 election. And to be specific, on the day after the 2020 presidential general election, you traveled to Philadelphia to appear alongside President Trump's then attorney, Rudy Giuliani. And together, you falsely asserted that President Trump had, quote, won Pennsylvania in that election. Now, I want to be clear, at that moment, there were still at least 1 million ballots left to be counted in Pennsylvania. Of course, President Biden went on to win the state by more than 80,000 votes. But in the following days, even after the results were clear, you continued to double down on the big lie, promoting falsehoods about election fraud and cheating without offering any actual evidence. And I remember it clearly because I served as California Secretary of State at the time, and I invited anybody associated with the Trump campaign who was making these claims to come forward with evidence of irregularities in the election or massive voter fraud. 4 years later, I still have seen none. So I ask you today, do you have any evidence of election fraud or irregularities in the 2020 election?
So, First Senator.
Yes or no? It's a yes or no question.
First Senator.
Do you have evidence, yes or no?
First Senator. for Senator.
Why are these guys so aggressive and they questioning? But it's not even the guys; the women are too. Why are they so aggressive in their questioning? I don't understand this. But let me continue to hear it.
I'm so sorry about the fires to you and Senator Schiff and what you're going through in your states. I have to say that.
I
And
appreciate
think
that,
all
but
of
my
our,
clock is
I'll
ticking,
answer
and I
your
want to
question. All
hear
of our
your answer.
hearts go out to everyone in California for what you're facing right now. I'm glad you asked the question about Pennsylvania.
It's a yes or no question.
I was
Do
hoping
you have evidence,
someone
yes or
would.
no?
Senator, I was hoping you'd ask the question.
Do you
Yes,
have evidence, yes or no?
I traveled to Pennsylvania.
Do you have the evidence,
I
yes
traveled,
or no?
Senator, to Pennsylvania.
Okay. You're not answering my question. If you have no evidence to offer, let me ask you this. Will you now retract your previous statements that Trump won Pennsylvania in the 2020 election, yes or no?
Oh, Senator, I traveled to Pennsylvania, and let me tell you what I saw firsthand.
Yes or no?
I didn't talk about California because I was not in California. I talked about
Yes or no? Last time I'm going to ask.
I talked about Pennsylvania because
Mr.
I
Chair,
was there.
I'm going to move on because
You
she's
got a
clearly not
court
answering my
order
questions.
to
And I want to know,
observe.
colleagues, for everybody, members of the committee and everybody watching, that the attorney who stood beside Mr. Giuliani was making very similar statements. And he has since been disbarred from multiple jurisdictions for making these false claims about the 2020 election in court. And like Mr. Giuliani, as you've noted today, you've taken an oath to uphold the Constitution just as an attorney. And now you're asking us to consider you to serve as the chief law enforcement officer in our country. So it's imperative, Ms. Bondi, that you subscribe to facts and evidence and not politically convenient conspiracy theories. Your job will be, your job will be to protect voters and election workers, not to undermine and dox them. Now, I know that earlier you agreed that Joe Biden is in fact president, but many of the president-elect's
These are not even Senate hearings, man. This is an opportunity for them to get their rocks off. Hey, man, I've been waiting to say this to you for a long time. And so when they're asking these questions are rhetorical. They're not asking a question so that they can get more insight. They're asking a question so that they can answer it themselves and try to make a point. They already have their next talking point before they even ask the question. These Senate hearings are basically a joke. This is not even a real thing. This is just a play thing. This is just
continue to spread the big lie
giggles.
about the 2020 election. Then we'll move on to a different topic.
Senator, you were speaking. May I speak? You cut
When
me
I ask
off
you the
when I
next
was
question,
speaking.
you can speak, and I hope you answer, Ms. Bondi.
Well, I'd
now,
like
when
to
we met
answer
yesterday,
the previous one, Senator.
when we met yesterday,
You pointed your finger at me and
you
said
did not
you were
seem
speaking.
to be familiar
Let me answer
with
my question.
the
I'm not going to be
Citizenship
bullied by you,
Clause, the
Senator.
14th
Bonilla.
Amendment of the United
She said, I'm not about to be bullied by you. I'm not about to be bullied by y'all. I'm not intimidated. I'm a snow bunny. I'm not about to be intimidated. I'm intelligent. I'm smart. I'm going to get this nomination no matter what, regardless of how you feel. You can feel some type of way about it. We can have a conversation or we can do this that other way. She went Marlo on him.
United States of America, which was deeply disappointing.
I guess you
And I'm
didn't want to
hoping you're
hear
more
my
familiar
answer
with it
about
today
Pennsylvania.
after I gave an opportunity to study overnight. So can you tell me and this committee what the Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment says?
Senator, I'm here to answer your questions. I'm not here to do your homework and study for you. If I am
I told y'all, this is how women talk. You can ask the question if you want to. Ask the question if you want to. Hey, honey, my head is kind of oddly shaped. See what she say. Yeah, you know what? I think I've been losing my mojo lately. You wasn't losing your mojo when you was over there talking to Sheila the other day. Ask the question. Will you renounce the claim that Trump did not lose Pennsylvania? Listen, I'm not here to do your homework for you. You could sit here and I'm not intimidated by you. That's how it works when you got these women that feel overly confident inside of these places. You're not going to knock them down. You can try to have a conversation with them. They'll sit there and listen to you, and then they're going to hit you with that other thing. My head kind of oddly shaped. What do you think that is? when you was arguing with your ex and she slapped you upside it? They'll say anything. They'll just say anything. And they can hit it off the top of the dome right after that.
Confirmed
No,
as
you're the
Attorney
one
General.
asking for a confirmation
Hey,
vote,
you
ma'am.
cut me off. Can I please finish?
What does the 14th Amendment say?
Senator, the 14th Amendment, we all know, addresses birthright citizenship. I've been a state prosecutor. I've been a state AG.
And they going to prove to you that they know more than you. You can ask the question if you want to. I'll embarrass you. Okay, you want me to answer the question? I got you.
I look forward to, even given your remarks today, working with you and the people of California if I am confirmed as the 87th Attorney General of the United States of America. I didn't take your homework assignment. I'm sorry. I was preparing for today.
So on the 14th Amendment, now you testified.
Hey, you know how a dude know he humbled is when he stopped talking and then he lower his voice. I tell people that all the time. Lower your voice and strengthen your argument. Hey, you arguing like a female. Lower your voice, strengthen your argument. Don't be emotional. Let's have a conversation. It didn't go the way that he thought that it was going to go. Shout out to Pam Bondi. We got some real strong people that's in office that's going to be doing the Lord's work. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let me read some of these super chats and cash apps, and we're going to go from there. Why do y'all keep asking me the same question? I use it's called the Anton Daniels streaming platform. That's what it's called. J Ben says, Buddy love his intestinal fortitude. No Diddy. Shout out to J Ben. Kid Chameleon says, will you do to us what we did to Trump? Says says Schiff. I got to read it exactly how y'all typed it. Jeremiah says, what is going on with y'all? It's called the Anton Daniels streaming software. That's what it's called. A.R. Smitty says, tell Elizabeth Warren to take that mask off. Let me read to y'all a couple other, let me make sure we ain't got it. Oh, I want to talk to R Streets. Shout out to R Streets. Let me give R Streets a round of applause. Shout out to R Streets. I love you. I appreciate you for holding me down on Venmo. I appreciate everybody that sent anything that show me love. You guys are the greatest of all time. All right. Anyways, let's continue on. Let's continue on with the conversation. Bag chasers, don't give them no information about what we do. Bag chasers, don't give them no information about what we do, how we do it, and how we continue on to run it up. All right. Let's continue on with the show. Well, if it ain't no big deal, then y'all shouldn't keep asking about it. Byron Donalds, hey, they want to get mad. You act like it ain't publicly available. Okay, well then why you keep asking me the question? Let's continue on with the show. Byron Donalds is grilling an ex-Biden official. What's his name? O'Malley, an ex-Biden official, about undermining Trump prior to him taking office through the Biden administration. Check it out.
Is that right? Correct. Can you please explain the difference between the definitions of telework and remote work?
Yes, remote work is 100% from a different location and can include living entirely thousands of miles away. Telework is having the ability to work anywhere from 1 to 5 days a week at a remote location.
Okay. Can an agency force a federal employee to telework? Like similarly, can an agency force a federal employee to show up for work?
Yes, and we saw that happen during COVID-19. There was forced telework that happened, and they should have the ability to force an employee to show up to work. But when you have problematic components that are baked into the cake for the new administration that prevent, such as deputy commissioners at SSA, from having that authority because of a collective bargaining agreement, that's arguably counter to the law.
Do you feel it's within the purview of the President of the United States to set the work schedule for federal employees across the board?
I do. In particular, telework, that's what the Telework Act of 2010 requires.
Ms. Cross, do you agree with that assumption that the President of the United States has the broad authority to set work requirements for federal employees? Well, you can't think about it now, Ms. Cross. We're here. We're on the fly. Do you think it's under the purview of the President to set work requirements?
Byron Donalds is incredibly intelligent. Let me just say that. Byron Donalds is cool, calm, collected, poised, direct, get straight to the business. Preface his argument or preface the questions that he's about to ask somebody else by substantiating his argument. Byron Donalds is the man. He is absolutely the man.
For federal employees, since essentially, we, in our system of government, we have a unitary executive, and the president of the United States is the executive branch.
Sure.
Okay. Mr. O'Malley, do you agree with that assessment that the President of the United States has the unilateral authority for setting work requirements for federal employees?
No, under the law, he has the ability, but
Mr.
it's not
O'Malley.
unilaterally. He has to abide by the law. At least in a republic, you abide by the law.
Mr. O'Malley, do you believe?
Oh, so for all of y'all that always say, no, we live in a democracy. No, we live in a republic governed by the Constitution. We live in a republic. For all of y'all that just have these talking points and you leaning off of something that you heard somebody else say, you even hear a ex-official of the Biden administration slip up and tell you guys that we do not live in a democracy, we live in a republic, okay? It is governed by the Constitution. Remember that. When somebody is saying that nonsense to y'all, help them to understand, no, listen, this is not a democracy, this is a republic. All right? We vote, but we are governed by the Constitution. The framework by which we live our lives and that affords us the freedom and allows for us to be able to advocate for this or that or to make sure that we preserve our rights is based off of our constitutional rights, okay?
That the President of the United States is the executive branch, whether it's President Trump, President Biden, President Obama, President Bush, Herbert Walker Bush, President Reagan. Do you believe that the President of the United States is the unitary executive and is the executive branch?
Yes, and he has to abide under the law. He has to obey the law.
So you mean to tell me that the President of the United States doesn't have the ability to set work requirements?
I'm saying that he does, but he has to do so under the terms and the rule of the law. And so, and contract law and things can.
He said he didn't at first. Now he's saying that he does, but with an asterisk.
Contained in agreements that are negotiated under the law are things that the president has to be mindful of and should be, and should be guided by.
When you signed this agreement with the unions over at the Social Security Administration, did you do it purposefully to undermine President Trump on his way in the door?
No, I did it to sustain the big customer service delivery improvements that this greatly depleted agency had made in the course of the year, and to try to staunch the attrition rate and the fact that so many are eligible for retirement. The reduction in staffing is really hurting a lot of seniors in every one of your districts, a lot of people with disability, a lot of our poorest people that are on SSI. I did what I did in order to better serve the American people.
So let's evaluate this, right? Because we have two different arguments, which obviously I'm on the side of Byron Donalds. The Trump administration is saying that we need to do an audit of the federal government because we have so many bloated agencies that are wasting money and stealing money from the American taxpayers and is not adding the services or adding value into society. As a matter of fact, they're just stealing money. What Trump and Elon Musk and Doge and Vivek Ramaswamy are all saying is that we need to not only do an audit, but we need to make sure that these people are not just sleeping every day and that they're here doing their jobs like they're supposed to do. They're being funded by taxpayers. These are not private businesses. And so we need to make them accountable. We need to see what they're doing, and we need them to return back into the office. One of the mandates is that we're going to have people return back into the office. What the Biden administration has done, as well as Mr. O'Malley here, is undermine what they know the Trump administration is going to do when they get back in office and basically institute different things that prevent that from happening. So essentially, what Byron Donalds is saying is correct. They're saying that they're doing it because they need to preserve integrity and prevent people from being able to walk away and retire through natural attrition because they will be understaffed to serve the community at large from whatever they doing, Social Security, whatever, right? Here's my question before we even get to the rest of this live stream, before we get to the rest of this questioning. Here's my question for you guys. Every single day, every day, I walk through and I save videos that you guys send me of people that say that they cannot get jobs. It is no jobs out here. There's no opportunities. They put in 1,000 resumes. I work in human resources. I'm a this, I'm a that. I can't figure it out. I got laid off. Now I got to depend on my husband. I got to go back to my baby daddy, which it makes a better environment for our children. But at the same time, I want to be an independent woman and I want to go out here and I want to work for myself and get my own apartment instead of depending on the husband or my baby daddy. I don't want to be with him. I want to break up our family again. I see these videos over and over and over and over. And I see people online saying, TikTok not paying out this month. Where's our checks at? TikTok robbed y'all. I see at least 7 videos inside of my email of y'all saying TikTok ain't paying y'all this month. Here's my question. First, is there a disconnect somewhere? Because I'm seeing people saying that there ain't no jobs. And then I'm also seeing that the government is saying that we got all of these positions open that we want to hire people for. And that's why we're not letting them go back into the office, because we got too much attrition and we can't fill these positions. Which one is it? Which one is it? Is there not any positions? And so that's the reason why you're justifying allowing people to work from home, because you're trying to incentivize people to stay with working with the federal government, or is there no jobs? Because from what I'm seeing, it's a silent depression that's going on out here. Let's let them answer the rest.
But when you set this agreement, knowing that the presidential election had already been decided, did you call Mar-a-Lago and
You
say,
ain't like
hey,
my
what's your
example?
opinion on this?
Hold on,
No.
wait. Listen. We are a realistic millionaire derailment show on here. When I give an example or when I illustrate a point, I have to be very, very, very direct. I don't want to just give a hypothetical. I got to give y'all scenarios that's really happening out here. It's women that are mad that they got to go home to their baby daddy and they can't break up their family, and they mad because they don't have the ability to be able to sustain on their own. My rent too high. They going up on my rent. I got to go home. First they'll say, I'm going to be homeless. Hey, you guys, can you please send me some money? Oh my God, my Cash App is in the description. It's so tough out here. And then you never see them homeless. You don't never see them in the car. Then they be like, I had to go. I hate this man. I hate this man. And then the kids be in the background be like, Daddy, we so happy to see you. We so home. And she be on the camera like, I hate him. He just get on my nerves. Always asking me to clean up after myself. Janice, I'm just telling you what listen, if it's not true, then they shouldn't put it on the internet. Otherwise, I just got to go based off of what people are saying and doing. That's what's happening.
Did you ask President Biden to reach out to President Trump in a matter of transition and say, hey, which way do we want the next president to be able to administer the employees that are under his purview as the unitary executive?
I worked for President Biden. He appointed me, and I was confirmed in a lopsided bipartisan margin by the Senate, and I executed the duties that I was assigned at Social Security to better serve senior citizens, better serve people on SSI, and people with disabilities. That's what I did, Congressman.
My counter argument to you, Mr. O'Malley, is that whether it's whatever president we're talking about, they all have the same duty to serve the seniors who were promised something on Social Security, and that mission is going to be executed regardless of party, regardless of president. But, sir, what you did was to essentially do a workaround of the incoming administration. But I'm going to come back to you later. Ms. Grezler, I'm going to come back to you.
Ooh, Byron is cooking.
You stated earlier in your testimony about we do have an issue with some of the federal employees who are doing work, union work, on federal government time. Can you expound upon that?
Yes, unfortunately, we don't have any more data on that because the Biden administration stopped collecting that.
This is one of the most corrupt administrations that we've ever seen in our entire life. This is one of the most corrupt administrations that we've ever seen in our entire life. They are so dirty, so evil. Somebody asked a question earlier in the live stream, and they saying, is it fair to say that this Biden administration guy, this administration, him himself and his administration, which includes Kamala Harris, is it fair to say that he's probably one of the worst presidents in our lifetime, let alone of all time? We're going to evaluate that next week once he's officially gone. That's a part of one of the shows that we're putting together.
But if you use what the Obama administration, those figures, and convert them to today's salaries, taxpayers are paying over $300 million per year to pay federal employees to step away from the jobs they're hired for and to instead go do union work on taxpayers' dime.
Mr. Chairman, if you will oblige, what?
And we don't even have the most recent updated figures because the Biden administration is preventing us from even collecting that data anymore.
Some of do you have an idea of some of the work that's being done on federal government time for the unions that they're a part of?
That can include negotiations. It could include lobbying Congress. It can include helping employees to file grievances or unfair labor practices if they have their telework policies taken away from them.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that it's in the interest of this committee and, frankly, of the United States going forward that we find out exactly what work is being done while employees are being paid by the federal government that is not within the purview of the job that they were hired to perform.
I agree. There's too many people that's getting paid to do too many things that don't even have anything to do with the job that they was hired for. Shout out to Byron Donalds for cooking. We got to give him a just for the cook session in place. I want to get to this last part of the show, but before I do so, let me read some of these super chats. AJ Wise says, Senate hearings take supreme patience. I would have told the senator to go eat. You can't tell a senator that. Jay Ben says, y'all ain't never seen Clay Davis on The Wire? You can't just talk to a senator any way you want to. Jay Ben says, your head oddly shaped because your mama was busy squeezing when she should have been pushing. That's a good one. Don't give them no more ammunition. JC says, so Anton, are you going to act like you don't know that flat-earthed Lord Jamar got his A handed to him by Professor Dave the other day? I don't know anything about it. Only thing I know about is what I'm doing here with y'all. Listen, if it ain't on the Millionaire Morning Show, if it don't have nothing to do with the Anton Daniels channel, if you don't see it on After Hours and me discussing it with my comrades, or if I'm not, more importantly, dropping it in the Patreon like I did that video yesterday, I don't see it. If you guys don't send it to me in an email and we don't talk about it on one of these platforms, I don't see it. I don't see it. All I see is what we talking about on these platforms. That's all I see. All of that other junk, I ain't got nothing to do with it. Send it to me. Let me write this down. Lord Jamar. I got to write everything down. I'm one of those type of people. What's the guy's name? Debate. Lord Jamar. Let me see. Super chats. Professor Dave. What was the debate about, y'all? Work from home is the future dependent on the role in the industry. Infrastructure taxpayers funded is there to support that. Real estate lobbyists may argue the opposite to protect their bottom dollar. All right, so let me address this really quickly. Thank you, Will Jones, for the super chat. I appreciate you. Let me tell you what the future is going to be, okay? The future for the people that are highly paid, for the people that are incredibly productive, is not necessarily work from home. The future is to be malleable. Y'all ain't heard this one because we so rigid in our thinking. And so if we can't compartmentalize it, a lot of times we'll say either you're going to work from home or you're going to be some kind of hybrid remote worker, or you're going to be, where you go in half of the time, 2 days in the office, 3 days out of office, or if you're going to be in the office full time and all of that. Let me tell you that the future is for you to be malleable, mainly being that it's not even available from work from home. Or I'll give you an example. In corporate America and in real life, when I ask for people's availability, I want people to be like, the answer I'm looking for, the most ideal candidate, is a person that is down for whatever. And let me tell you why. is because I will never say you have to be in the office or, hey, you can work from home. My expectation is for you to be an adult. As crazy as this sounds, my expectation is for you to be an adult. Meaning, you can do whatever you want to do. As long as you are doing the best thing for the company and for yourself. I don't want you taking advantage of us. None of the people that work for me have a PTO package. We don't need that structure, right? Because rules and structure a lot of times are for people that cannot do things the right way and don't understand the culture in which they work for. We don't care about that. You could take as many days off as you want as long as it makes sense and it's not affecting what we got going on. Let us know ahead of time. Hey, let me know ahead of time. Hey, you going over there? Hey, you about to go party? You ain't even got to make no excuse. You ain't got to lie to us and say you sick or none of that. I don't care why you're not here. I just want to make sure that A, your job is done, and B, when you here and you taking care of business, you doing it to the best of your ability. I want you to have fun. I want you to go out there. I want you to go take care of business. I'm not about to babysit you. The last thing I want to do is to have a human resources department have to babysit you because you don't do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. Hey, the people that work in a division of my company that is building houses, you know what I expect for them to do? Go and check on the house and go and check on the property and work with the contractors. Sometimes they got to be there every day because they dealing with a certain process or it's a certain part of the development process that they have to be there with the inspectors. When the inspector's there, show up. Most days they don't have to be there and they can manage the job from wherever it is that they at. But I'm not going to put a requirement and say, hey, you got to be on the job 2 days a week, 3 days a week, and then you can work from home 3 or 4 days a week. No, sometimes they got to be there every day. Sometimes they don't have to be there for 2 or 3 weeks, depending on what they're doing. And they grinding hard at home just as much as they grinding on the road. But the greatest people to hire are the people that are malleable and actually do their job, and they don't need to be babysat. Hey, listen. If you can go over there and you can take care of business and you can do your job while you at CES, as long as you get your you know what I'm saying, taking care of business, hey, it's a slow period. Go and do what you got to do or whatever. Hey, we not doing nothing over here. The weather is kind of messed up. Do what you got to do. I'm not about to babysit you. But show up and do your job to the best of its ability and don't take advantage of me. Don't take advantage of me. I want you to have fun. I want you to take care of business, and I want us to make a whole lot of money. But the minute that you start messing up the money, oh, wait, what? Wait, nobody can get in touch with such and such? Now I'm upset. Now I'm bothered. Now I start to get a little bit aggravated because I'm like, wait a minute. If I got to come over here and start doing your job, then what do I need you for? The minute that people start questioning whether or not you making sense or you doing your job and they're actually right, now we got a problem because now I got to babysit you. The greatest employees are the ones that you don't have to put rules on and they do their job and they exceed expectations, and those are the ones that get all of the freedom. Even within my household, I tell my daughter all the time, I say, hey, listen, the rule has always been there are no rules. The rule in my household is that there are no rules. There is no curfews. I've never given my daughter a curfew. I've never given her a bedtime. I've never said that she can and can't do this. I've never given her a requirement of what she can and can't buy and spend and none of that stuff. You know why? Because she's smart enough and mature enough to think reasonably. And if she starts to have a question of whether or not it makes sense, she'll call me and say, hey, Dad, this is what's happening. What do you think about that? She's never been out super late. And anytime that she's thinking that she's going to be late, she'll tell me, hey, listen, Dad, my location, you got my location, I'm here or whatever. Hey, I'm running a little bit late or something. Whatever it is, she communicates. She's smart. So I don't have to say, hey, you got a bedtime or hey, you got to do this. We don't do that in my house. I don't put limits on people. I don't tell people what they can and can't do. The expectation is for you to be wise. The expectation is for you to use your common sense. The expectation is for you to be mature. Now, if you can't handle that freedom, now we got to start putting rules on you. I never had rules when I was growing up with my parents. My mom, my dad, they never said, hey, you got to do this or hey, you got to do that. You are just a mature individual. You just take care of business. You on top of things. You ain't got to be babysat. Hey, we was called. We was proactive. Hey, we going to be over here or whatever. Is that cool? We will make sure that we get all of our chores done before we left the house, because we knew that if mom and dad came home and the house smelled good, that they less likely to go look for us, and so we can go out there and hoop as long as we want. And I take that same approach when it comes to hiring people. I don't chase people. Even when it comes to streaming, for example. If Carrie be like, hey, listen, I'm not going to be there today. Quentin be like, hey, man, I got to go watch a football. I don't sit there and say, hey, why you not going to be here today? I just expect for when we stream, we perform, we take care of business, we on top of things, we give a good show, and we add value. We argue, we fight, and I don't babysit people. I don't say, hey, y'all going to be on the stream tonight. It just is what it is. It is, we take care of business. I don't sit there. Q, I've never asked her if you stream. Q will tell me 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time. Hey, Anton, I'm going to be over here at this event, at this conference on, 2 weeks from now. Do you want me to get the people together or whatever? And okay, cool, I got you. We take care of it. We just work. We all adults, we mature, we understand the cultural norm of what we do over here with our shows and with our companies and with our business, and we take care of business. Rita, she go wherever. She don't have to be on the job. She don't have to take care of, do none of that. She just be gone. And she be calling me like, hey, listen, your such and such is this. This is scheduled. This is taken care of. This is taken care of. Okay, listen, I got to go. I got to go, I got a massage appointment. Somebody about to be chasing you. I don't be sitting there. You said the grades is up. I don't sit there and say, when my daughter want to get out of school, hey, Dad, I need you to call me out. I'll be like, all right, cool, I got you. What you want me to tell him? When my daughter called me, when she called us, hey, Dad, I need to get out. I need to leave school early today. All right, cool. What time you trying to leave? Call the administrator. I ain't worried about her. Now, what I didn't know is that she had what's one of them, chiropractic or whatever like that. She might have a doctor's appointment that her mother had already scheduled for or something. I don't be sitting there like, hey, why do you need to be called? I don't have to do that because there's never been any rules. The expectation is for you to be a good person, and that way you have the freedom because I trust you. If I trust you as an employee, if I trust you as my daughter, if I trust you as a woman that's around me, you don't have rules. You don't have limits of what you can and can't buy. You don't have limits of where you can and can't go. We don't have those problems. The daughter don't come to me and be like, Dad, I need to pay for this trip, or I need to pay for she got her own. My daughter got the same cards in her Apple Pay as I got in mine. The Sapphire, the Bonvoys, all of that stuff. She just paid for her own taekwondo. She paid for her own trip. She paid for her own flights. She do all of her own stuff. I'm not babysitting her. My daughter caught a flight on a whole nother flight from us to come out here than me and Rita. I'm not babysitting her. I ain't got time for that. You better grow up. Okay, listen. Oh, you want to make my life difficult? Because, see, that hurts me. You want to make my life difficult? I got to sit there and babysit you. You can't grow up. You can't get your life together. Sitting there with no babysitting you. And I don't even babysit her. But I'm supposed to babysit you on the job because you can't do what you're supposed to do. And I'm paying you. That's what y'all got to look for in employees. When you look to talk to people, you got to organically vet them. Vetting a person that works with you is very similar to meeting a person that you're supposed to get in a relationship with. Vetting a person that you work with is very similar to vetting a woman that you get into a relationship with. That's why everybody that I do business with, I've actually met in real life. I don't stream with nobody that I ain't cool with in real life, that I haven't kicked it with, that we ain't hugged, that we ain't had conversations. Me and Slimmy done known each other since like 2017, 18, 19. We was hanging out in Cleveland at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and hanging out and all of that. Before y'all ever even knew Slimmy, me and Slimmy was cool. We was doing our thing. Me and Quentin been hanging out for a long time. Me and Q been rocking out for a long. Q, we be Airbnb-ing it out. We be gone. We be in places y'all don't even know we in the same place half the time. Everybody that I stream with, I know. Everybody that I work with, they my people in real life. That's why we don't have problems, because I already know that they're a cultural fit way before I even bring them into the fold. That's why I believe in in-person interactions. That's why I believe and talking to people in real life. That's why everybody that's around me, we know each other. We've been kicking it with each other for a long time. They add value into my life. I add value into their life, and we all just rock out and we run it up. When y'all vet people, when y'all hiring people, when y'all get into relationship with people, when you hanging out with people, interact with them in real life. It's gonna be the breaking factor for your company. It's gonna be the determining factor for whether or not you actually do things great or you fail miserably, because you're only as good as the people that you surround yourself with. You're only as good as the people that you're surrounding yourself with. If you have to babysit them, let me emphasize this again. Whether you're talking about the chick that you in a relationship with, or you talking about the person that you about to do business with, that you about to hire in corporate America for your own company or your own personal relationships, if you have to babysit them, let them go. They just not listen. It don't mean that you're a bad person. It just means that you're not a cultural fit. That's my sentence for them. You're not a bad person. You're just not a cultural fit for what we're trying to do here. We work hard. We get to the business. I need people that's loyal. I need people that love me. I need people that exalt me, because the more money I make, the bigger your bonuses are. You know what I'm saying? If I got to babysit you, if I got to try to chase you down, if I always got to check your fine math, if I got to figure out what's going on, I don't want to be bothered, because I don't have time for that. I'm looking for people that actually want to get to the money and have a good time and work hard, not people that I got to chase around and have conversations about whether or not you're doing what you're supposed to do. I ain't got time for that. The minute that I see people ain't doing what they supposed to do, we not a cultural fit. I got to move on. I'm telling you that that's the key. All right? That's just a clue for y'all. I'll say that last part for tomorrow, and then we going to go from there. All right? If you got to find somebody that needs that structure, hey, can I work from home? Should I come into the office? That's not even a question that we even ask. My question is, can you do your job? Can you do your job? Are you better at doing your job when I'm not paying attention, or are you only doing your job when I'm watching you and doing I got to babysit you? Man, I'm not putting no schedule on you. You go in when you know you got to be there to take care of business. You got to be on site, be on site. You got to work 14 hours that day, work 14 hours that day. If you working 3 hours or 2 hours the next day, then work 3 hours or 2 hours the next day. Do your job and let's run this bag up. I'm not babysitting you. I'm not about to put no schedule on. I'm giving you no time card. I got to give you a time card? Kara, I'm not chasing you, seeing what time you punching in and stuff like that. Man, do what you're supposed to do and execute and over-deliver. Come to me with some innovation or some new ideas and say, hey, Anton, what do you think about this? Every day, I don't text Mika. Mika texts me and say, Anton, I got this new idea. I think you need to implement this. Hey, listen, I'm taking over the show. I'm a host this. Let me handle this. I don't chase them. They over deliver, and I'm more than happy to give them all of the money and all of the bags and all of the opportunity and all of the freedom. I'm not chasing you. Do your job. Do better than the job that I hired you for, so that we can all be happy. All right? All right, y'all. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the greatest audience on earth. Shout out to Magnetar. Magnetar says, I got promoted in April 2024. I was told they're not filling my old job. They want two for the price of one. They're saving you money. They're saving you money, and it's not just my agency. That's a fact. And Anton be like, you officially fired. I don't be firing people. I don't fire people. You're going to fire yourself. You're going to not want to be here. I do not fire people. That's a fact. I find every reason to figure out how I can make you successful. I do not be firing people at all. If I wind up firing you, you really the bottom of the barrel. If I have to get to the point where I fire you, you are the bottom of the barrel. You are a POS. And more importantly, I have to question myself of how I didn't see the red flags in the beginning. I got to hold myself accountable on that. I'm like, man, what am I thinking? How did I miss that? I would question myself. I don't even believe that I would have to get rid of somebody. I'm like, wait a minute, why they ain't in line? Am I doing something wrong? Am I not giving them everything they need to be successful? What am I doing? That's a problem. I be looking at myself like something wrong. Anyways, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the greatest audience on earth. We back at it tonight on After Hours. We get into it no matter what state we in. And then we going to go from there. Okay? All right, y'all. After Hours tonight. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Look at that video. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.